In a world where the powers of the dormant demon lord created dungeons all around the world, and adventure parties live stream their dungeon runs, Yuke is a mage and a member of a rank party named Thunderpike. All their members are strong, and they easily clear all the dungeons they enter. However, not everything is well with their teamwork once they are outside of the dungeon. Yuke feels like he is not being paid fairly for his work, and after a successful mission, he tells his party members that he is going to quit Thunderpike. The party leader Simon and the other members tell him to stop being such a whiny because he doesn't even join the fight and just stays in the rear, burning through their items and scrolls. They claim that they will be fine without his little support, and that is the final nail in the coffin. Yuke finishes his drink and then declares that he is going to quit the party forever, and they can go and shove their rank tag up their butt. The next day, Yuke goes to the Adventurer Guild to register himself as unemployed. Just as he finishes filling the form and hands it to the receptionist, a redhead hoe suddenly lunges at him and hugs him tightly. She calls him teacher, and when Yuke sees her, he recognizes her as Marina, a sword mage whom he guided before she took her adventure test. Marina thanks Yuke for helping her earlier, and he asks how things are going for her. She tells him that everything is going well, and then learns that he is on the job market right now. Marina gets really excited on hearing that, and this thirsty bitch immediately asks Yuke to join their party. Yuke goes to meet with her party members, who were also his students along with Marina. The Elf Ranger Silk and the Priestess Rain are both glad to hear that Yuke is interested in joining their party, but they ask him if he is fine joining a D-rank party that is just starting its career. Yuke tells them that he is fine with that because hustling like a rank parties is not for him anymore. He says that for difficult quests and dungeons, he used to invest a lot of money in consumable items, so he didn't earn much. But with D-rank quests, he will be able to save a ton. With that, Yuke officially joins their party, and learns that the girls were planning to complete a quest to mine some magic iron ore today. They head to the dungeon to mine the magic ore, and Yuke feels nostalgic remembering how his journey began. He tells the girls that they can easily find the magic ore on the 6th floor of the dungeon, but they tell him that they are afraid of fighting the boss monster on the 5th floor, so they'll pass. Yuke suggests they can try looking for the ore on the 4th floor first, and they head into the dungeon. Marina has brought her grandpa's walking stick along to search for traps, but that is slowing down their pace, so Yuke decides to take the lead. He shows the girls a magic lantern that can easily detect any low-level traps, and because of that, they quickly explore the dungeon. Yuke begins recalling how this was the first dungeon he visited along with his former party Thunderpike 5 years ago, and their warrior was seriously wounded by the traps. Suddenly, he senses a monster and tells the girls to get ready to fight. They reach a room where wolf monkeys are waiting for them. Silk shoots down one of them quickly, and then Marina rushes ahead to deal with the other two. Yuke casts physical enchantment magic on her to greatly improve her abilities, and then snares the monsters to stop them. Marina easily cuts through the two monsters, and she is shocked to realize how easy it was with Yuke's magic. He tells her that he cast 3 types of enchantment spells on her at once, and everyone is impressed because doing 3 spells at once needs a lot of skill. Soon, they reach the entrance of the 2nd floor, and after checking their equipment and stamina, they head downstairs. Suddenly, a group of zombie miners attack them, and it is Rain's turn to deal with them. Silk and Marina try to fight against the zombies to buy time for her to finish her incantation, and Yuke casts a protective spell on everyone so that the zombies can't even come close. This gives Rain enough time to complete her spell, and she blows away all the zombies with her holy magic. Everyone starts praising her, and Yuke remarks that using holy magic on such a scale costs a lot of mana. He uses a skill called Refresh Mana on Rain to charge up her mana reserves, and she is astonished to learn that Yuke can use it. She tells her friends that it is a rare spell that only red mages like Yuke can use, and with just this spell, one can instantly be admitted to an A-rank party. They are all amazed, and Yuke tries acting down to earth by saying that he is nothing special. They walk ahead, and he keeps pouring holy water on the ground so that the zombies don't attack them after being revived. Silk thinks that it is going to be really expensive, and they don't have the budget for that, but Yuke tells her to relax because he brewed it himself. This shocks Rain because Yuke is not even a priest, but he replies that he can use the purified ashes of the zombies to make holy water using alchemy. Soon, they reach the 4th floor, and Yuke says that they can find the magic ore on this floor. But before going any deeper, he wants everyone to rebuild their stamina by eating something. For that, he pulls out a whole ass stove from his magic bag, which makes the girls excited. Yuk tells them that if they work hard, they can afford their own magic bag someday. He begins cooking egg and bacon for them, and then pulls out a magic pot that magically creates seafood soup for them. The housewife inside Rain gets wetter than the soup itself on seeing a pot that cooks food itself, and Yuk says that he found it in a high-level dungeon and it cost a lot to be repaired. After that, they start eating, and Silk notices that the food has extra mana. Yuk tells her that cooking is basically alchemy, and he put extra effort to empower them for mining the ore later. Soon, they find a giant rock lizard which has mineral ores on its back. Yuk slows it down with his magic, and then Marina uses her ultimate attack to kill it. She is really exhausted by using her ultimate just once, but Yuk replenishes her mana and tells her to keep practicing the skill. After that, they begin mining the ore on the defeated monster's back, but they need more, and Yuk suggests that they go to the 5th floor and defeat the boss to get what they want. The girls are afraid because the boss is a tough monster, but Yuk tells them that he will use his full power to help them. Once they reach the boss room on the 5th floor, Yuk tells the girls that he will fight alone to show them his skills. He then takes out a floating camera artifact to record the gameplay of the boss fight, and Marina suggests that they should livestream it cause it will be fun. Yuk decides to YOLO it, but then he asks the girls the name of their party to tell in the broadcast. They nervously tell him that they haven't thought of a name yet, but then Marina comes up with the name Clover on the spot. She says that the 3 girls are the ordinary leaves of the clover, and Yuk is the 4th and the lucky leaf. Everyone likes the name, and then Yuk asks the girls if they also want to feature in the first live stream of their party. They are fine just watching him, so Yuk enchants himself and then activates the live streaming mode on the camera. After that, he opens the door to the boss room and heads inside to see the giant ugly steel crab. The crab attacks him instantly, but Yuk slips from its claws and then uses 5 disabling spells to blind, poison, and paralyze it. The crab tries to attack indiscriminately, but Yuk just uses gravity magic to crush it instantly. He ends the live stream with that, and Marina immediately hugs him, almost breaking his bones in the process. Yuk then puts the crab in his magic bag, and they open the treasure chest that dropped after defeating the boss to find a ton of treasure and magic ore. After that, Yuk and his party head back to the city in a carriage. He acts polite and asks the girls how do they rate their new party member on a scale of 1 to 10. All the girls are really impressed by his overall skills in the dungeon, but Yuk thinks that they would be uncomfortable to see someone who is older than them suddenly become a party member. The girls tell him that it is not like that at all, and suddenly, Silk has a brilliant idea. She tells Yuk that he should become the party leader because he is the most experienced and powerful out of them. Yuk is flustered because he doesn't think it is right for a newcomer to become the leader, but the other girls agree, saying that their party was officially formed when they decided to name it Clover, and that makes Yuk a founding member. When the girls keep on pressuring him, Yuk finally folds and agrees to become the party leader so that he can keep everyone safe. On the other hand, his former party, Thunder Pike, is having a hard time in the dungeon. They have got an archer to fill Yuk's place, but he can't support them like Yuk used to. They struggle against a pack of monster wolves, and even the newcomer throws shade at them, asking why the hell they came to such a high-level dungeon if they are so weak. Suddenly, the witch gets bitten by a wolf, and though the party leader manages to free her, the priestess doesn't have enough mana to heal her. The party decides to retreat immediately, and as the witch lies bleeding, the priestess is still waiting for her mana to recharge. They don't have mana potions or even healing potions because that used to be Yuk's responsibility, and none of them thought to pick it up after he left. The new guy has a healing potion, but he doesn't give it so easily because he expected a rank party to have better management. Meanwhile, Yuk and his party are celebrating their first mission's success. As they drink, Yuk tells them that the reward from the quest was nothing special, but he got a lot of money from selling the corpse of the steel crab. He asks the girls about the division of money among them, and Silk tells him that they put everything in the party fund and use an allowance system for buying necessary things. She explains that they are saving money to buy their own house one day, and Yuk likes the idea. At the same time, his former party is at the same inn, and they are griping and complaining about their failure today. They blame it all on the new guy, saying that he should have been prepared better to help them. The archer gets pissed off that they are treating him like an errand boy, and says that he never thought that the famous rank party would be a bunch of sisses who can't even wipe their ass themselves. He tells them that he is quitting their party immediately, and Yuk turns around just in time to see it. He doesn't want to give any attention to his former party, so he tells the girls that after every successful quest, they will take 2 days to rest and recover. He says that he will stock up the useful items in the meanwhile, and they can head to another mission on the 3rd day. Suddenly, the inn begins to display the livestream video of Yuk defeating the steel crab that has gone viral within half a day. Everyone is interested in Yuk and his party because he defeated a boss monster with just debuff spells. However, this pisses off his former party members who think that Yuk is playing in the lowest league to improve his KD ratio. Turns out they are not the only people jealous of Yuk, because a fat and ugly noble is also cursing him from afar. Anyway, 3 days later, Yuk reaches the guild to pick a quest that is easy enough for the girls, but gives a good reward as well, and the receptionist suggests him a C-rank quest to get magic stones from a waterfall. She says that it should be a D-rank quest, but some strange monsters are roaming around the region recently, so it has become more difficult. As Yuk is in the middle of thinking about it, the girls come running there, and they agree to take the quest without even asking about it. Only after the receptionist leaves to register the quest does Yuk get a chance to explain that they may have to face a monster during the quest. The girls still decide to take the quest to earn more points and money. Yuk tells them to get ready and meet him in 30 minutes, and then the receptionist comes with a receipt of the quest. She tells Yuk to livestream his quest fights because he has become a minor celebrity after his last livestream. He leaves the guild with that and immediately senses someone following him. He leads the stalker into a shady alley, and it turns out to be the jealous ugly noble. Yuk asks him if he has any business with him, and the noble pulls out his sword, telling him to leave Clover immediately. Yuk uses a snare spell on him discreetly, and then asks the fatty if he is out of his mind for telling the leader of the party to quit it. The fatty tells him that he found the girls first, and he will join their party to become their sugar daddy. But Yuk thinks that he is just a junkie who has had too much magic shrooms today. He refuses to leave the party and walks away, and as the noble tries to attack him, he trips on the snare spell and knocks himself out. Once Yuk joins the girls to go on the quest, they tell him that the fat incel had approached them a few days earlier, and he offered to join their party like he was helping them out. However, his skills were mid, and they decided to ignore him since he wasn't taking no for an answer. Yuk also thinks that the guy must be dumb if he can draw his sword so casually in the streets, and he decides to report him to the guild once they return. After that, Yuk brings up the topic of their quest, and says that while the quest is really simple, they may have to deal with some wild beast-type monster. The girls tell him that they have been to the area around 2 months ago, but they didn't face any monsters back then, and there were no ordinary animals around either. The second part worries Yuk, and he says that the only reason all animals run away from the forest is because of a strong monster. He tells the girls that the monster was present in the forest that time too, but they were lucky enough not to encounter it. He says that as soon as they reach the forest, he will start recording everything, and if they run into the monster, he will live stream it. It will be the best if they win, but if they lose and have to run away, he wants the video to be live so that the guild can see them and send help on time. Soon, they reach the forest and Yuk starts recording as they walk inside. He walks at the end of the group because wild beasts attack any group from behind, and tells the girls not to worry about him because he is wearing a special warlock armor that gives him very high defense stats. They reach the waterfall soon, but then Yuk senses something and immediately turns the live stream mode on. Just 1 second later, the monster terrorizing the forest comes out, and to Yuk's horror, it is a high-ranking monster called the Zarnag, which is found in the deepest level of high-ranking dungeons. Everyone panics on hearing that, and Yuk steps in front of the girls. He tells them that they need to escape immediately, because they will die if they fight against the Zarnag. He decides to stay back and stop it till the girls reach safety, and the guild sends backup. But suddenly, Marina draws her sword, telling Yuk that she isn't leaving him behind. Silk and Rain also agree with her, and they begin using their abilities to slow down the monster so that they can kill it. Yuk has no choice but to let them in on the action, so he first enchants their physical abilities. Marina rushes ahead to stop the monster while Rain chants her spell, but she gets slapped away. Yuk tries to stun the monster with lightning magic and then casts multiple debuffs on it, but despite that, it doesn't seem to slow down. Yuk realizes that it is a special monster, and he asks Marina to buy him some time so he can use a very powerful spell. Marina begins fighting against the monster, and then Silk calls the forest dryads for help and binds the monster with vines. As the two girls try their best to stall the monster, Yuke finishes chanting his tier 5 spell, Prismatic Arrow. He tells Marina to get back before he shoots it at the monster with devastating power. As the prismatic arrow hits the monster, it groans in pain, but nothing more happens. Yuke thinks that he failed to do any damage, but as the monster charges towards them, a black liquid starts coming out from all its holes. The monster seems weakened by his attack, but it is still strong enough to attack them, so Rain decides to finish it with a powerful magic attack. She uses the tier 5 spell Thunderbolt to hit the monster, but despite that, it doesn't go down. However, Yuke realizes that the monster has been stunned by the strong attacks it took, and this is the perfect chance to finish it off. He tells Marina to go ahead and kill the monster, and she dashes towards it, activating her ultimate skill just as Yuke enchants her sword to land a critical hit. The monster's head falls into the river as the sky clears, and it releases a fountain of blood. Everyone is relieved at this, and then Yuke remembers that he was live streaming this fight. He thanks all the viewers for watching the fight till the end, and then ends the stream. The video is an instant hit in the city, and the popularity of the Clover Party rises further. But the leader of Yuke's former party is pissed because of that. Meanwhile, Yuke is feeling dizzy after using too much mana in the fight earlier. Behind him, the girls are excitedly chatting about their fight, and Yuke thinks that this video will give their careers a huge boost. He approaches them, congratulating them for the successful mission, but adds that he is going to spank them for not listening to his orders earlier. The girls confront him, saying that they are going to lecture him too because he was planning to sacrifice himself just now, and they won't have allowed that to happen in any case. Yuke realizes that this is a 1 versus 3 match and he can't win against the girls, so he says that they will review the mistakes they made later. Soon, they reach the lake where they are supposed to complete their mission, but the girls get in the mood for a swim. Yuke tells them to take a dip in the time he sets up camp. As he hears the girls happily splashing around, he remembers how he was training them to be adventurers just 6 months ago. He kept telling them about the ways in which they could improve themselves and their party, but he always had the feeling that they would make a great team. He is still surprised by the fact that he ended up in the same party as them and thinks that life is too uncertain. A few days later, Yuke and the girls are summoned by the guild master, and the girls are anxious about the meeting. Yuke believes that the guild master wants to talk about the high-level monster they defeated in the forest, because a dangerous quest like that should not have been given to a D-rank party like them. He thinks that normally, any guild master would praise them, but he knows the old man in charge of this place is not normal. Just then, Guild Master Benwood arrives there, and he immediately confronts Yuke, telling him that he has really done something troublesome this time. Yuke tells him that it is not his fault, and Benwood sternly asks him to tell him the things that he didn't mention in the report. His tone scares the girls and Yuke lashes out at the old man for intimidating them. However, that was what the guild master was waiting for, and he tells Yuke that he should have stopped talking politely earlier if he wanted him to stop acting scary. Benwood then sits down and tells everyone to take a seat too. He asks Yuke to answer his question now, and tell him what he thinks about the monster that he encountered in the forest. Yuke tells him that the signs point to it being an overflow, but not the one you will find on Anime. Benwood grows concerned on hearing that and tells the receptionist to generate an investigation quest. Meanwhile, Marina asks Yuke about overflow, and he explains that it happens when a catalyst causes monsters to come out of dungeons. If things get worse, it can lead to a stampede in which a huge army of monsters destroy everything in their path. The girls are worried to hear that, but Benwood tells them that the guild will handle the investigation. He then bows down to the 4 of them and apologizes for putting them in danger. The girls are taken aback by that and say that they were fine because Yuke was with them. The old man says that he watched the stream and he thinks they are quite skilled too, which is why he is going to promote them to C rank. The girls are delighted to hear that, and then Benwood turns to Yuke to give him another good news. He is being promoted to a rank because the prismatic arrow spell he used during the fight is a new spell he created, and all the guild officers believe that he should be promoted. Yuke can't even process what is happening, but Benwood brings out the promotion documents and tells him to sign it. Later, Yuke and the girls go to the guild inn to celebrate their promotion. Yuke hands over the earnings from the mission to Silk, who finds that the amount is much more than she expected. She stacks the gold coins to count them, and at the bottom of the pouch, Benwood has left a platinum coin as an apology. The girls are excited to see the platinum coin, and then Silk says that after adding today's earnings, they have enough money to buy their own base. They begin drinking and eating to celebrate this special occasion, and then Rain asks Yuk about his dream as an adventurer. He tells her that he dreams of challenging the last floor of the dungeon named Infinite Darkness, and that makes the girls spit out their drinks because that dungeon is said to be ridiculously dangerous. Yuk says that it is true because the final floor of the dungeon holds the Abyss Gate that leads to the underworld. He says that he has no plan to cross the Abyss Gate, but he wants to see it with his own eyes. He tells the girls about his uncle who was a great adventurer, and he challenged the final floor of Infinite Darkness dungeon and saw the gate. Even though he could not clear the final floor, his stories inspired Yuk to try it someday. Marina likes the idea and tells Yuk that they should go to the dungeon soon and livestream their fight. But he tells her that it is not so easy. First, they need to be in a rank party, and on top of that, they need permission from the government to even enter the dungeon. The girls get fired up on listening this, and they promise Yuk that they will grow stronger so that one day they can challenge the dangerous dungeon together. Soon, the Clover party embarks on another mission, and they live stream their fights as always. While Marina fights on the front lines, Yuk guides her and protects everyone with magic barriers. Silk uses the vines to tie the monster down, and then Rain attacks it with a powerful lightning spell. To finish things off, Yuk uses a magic scroll to unleash a rock magic on the monster, killing it. The livestream is well received by the audience, but not by Yuk's former party, Thunderpike. They are jealous of Yuk's success, but more than that, they are concerned about their downfall. They blame it all on the new members who join their party, calling them useless. Moreover, the wizard of their party has been avoiding going out with them lately after she was injured, and she is starting to fall behind when they go on missions. They think that maybe they should get Yuk to join their party again, because when he was with them, they didn't fail their missions so miserably. They think that they should cut the payment of the wizard girl because she is becoming useless and give a bit more money to Yuk so that he doesn't have a problem returning to their party. Meanwhile, Yuk and the girls return to the city from their mission, and they are shocked to see Thunderpike's leader Simon waiting for them at the door. Yuk is taken aback to see him, and he tells the girls to go and report to the receptionist while he deals with this. The girls go inside quietly, and then Yuk asks Simon what the hell does he want. Simon invites him to talk over a drink, but Yuk refuses, saying that he is tired because of the quest. He begins walking inside, but Simon stops him, telling him to come back to Thunderpike. Marina and others are eagerly listening to this conversation from the other side of the door, and they get worried as Simon reminds Yuk about their long-lasting friendship and their dream of challenging the Abyss Gate together. He says that Yuk will need to be in a rank party to even try that, and that is why he should rejoin Thunderpike. However, Yuk slaps his hand away, telling him that he is the leader of Team Clover and he is not going to leave them. This pisses Simon off, and he tries gaslighting Yuk into taking the blame for Thunderpike's failure after he left. However, Yuk tells him to grow up and deal with his problems like an adult. He goes inside the guild building with Simon yelling that he will regret it, and this commotion draws the attention of the ugly Fatso who tried to attack Yuk in the past. Meanwhile, Simon finds the girls really anxious about the conversation, and when he assures them that he is not going to leave the party, Marina hugs him so hard that he feels his bones crack. He somehow manages to push her away, and then they go to have drinks together. Soon after that, they get a quest from a popular armor shop called Earthy's. Yuk tells them that the shop is launching a new theme focusing on women adventurers, and since their party is 75% women, they have decided to pick them as the poster girls. The 3 girls will get high-quality armor from the shop, and the shop can use the video of them clearing dungeons to promote itself. The girls are surprised to hear this good news, and they find that they will get the armor for free, and on top of that, they will also be paid for completing the quest. They get really excited on hearing this, and soon their party goes to the city where Earthy's shop is situated. While Yuk waits in the market, thinking about the time he came to this city with his previous party, the girls get their new gear. They soon come running to show their new drip to Yuk, and he starts his blood flowing down to his 3rd leg. He then tells them that instead of live streaming their fight, this time, they will have to hand over the recording to Earthy's as per the quest. He starts recording, and then his party enters the dungeon. Yuk tells the girls that this dungeon is only 4 floors deep, but its lowest floor has the gate to a bigger dungeon, and their quest goal is to reach the 2nd dungeon. They come to an open space inside the dungeon, and Yuk picks a stone and throws it down to show the girls that a distortion in space doesn't allow anyone to take shortcuts here. He asks them to be careful that they don't fall down the stairs. While Marina and Silk agree to him immediately, Rain seems to be upset with Yuk, and he doesn't even know what he did wrong. Marina and Silk tell him that he didn't pay enough attention to Rain earlier because she is flat like the earth, and Yuk immediately notices the new ribbon around her hair. He tells Rain that she looks cute because her ribbon matches her hair color, and this needy hoe gets flustered and immediately hugs him. With that, they get down to the next floor of the dungeon, and Yuk soon detects a trap using his magic lantern. He pokes the trap with his grandma's walking stick, and suddenly, spears pop out of all 4 walls. They pass through the gap between the spears and soon encounter the first monster of the dungeon. It is a group of orcs, and Silk furiously draws her bow because elves hate orcs like Christians hate gays. Yuk tells her to calm down because her anger can break their formation, but assures her that they will completely wipe out those ugly monsters. He assesses that the orcs look like low-level soldiers, but they look more organized than he expected. He tells Rain to charge up a powerful magic attack to hit all of them at once, and then tells the other 2 girls to get ready to finish the ones left at last. Yuk casts enchantment magic on everyone, and then Rain shoots a powerful fire attack at them, burning the orcs. Next, Yuk uses a magic scroll to crush them with heavy rocks, and Silk supports him by shooting the orcs. They manage to take down 2 of them, and the remaining 2 orcs rush towards them. Yuk uses paralysis debuff to slow them down, and then Marina charges ahead, using her ultimate move to defeat 1 orc. Silk shoots the other orc to keep it busy in the meantime, and then Marina attacks it too, splitting its head open with 1 strike. Yuk goes over to the dead orcs to collect their magic stones, and he asks Silk if she has calmed down now. She apologizes for getting tense on seeing the orcs, but Yuk understands that it is a part of her elf DNA. Silk is happy to hear this, and just then Marina comes there with a damaged scroll she found with one of the orcs. Yuk finds that it is an artifact that can reveal hidden abilities of an adventurer. He says that they can't use it right now because it is damaged, but he can repair it with his alchemy skills. He tells the girls that one of them can use it instead of selling it because it will enhance their talents and maybe even unlock a new job class. Both Silk and Rain tell him that he should let Marina use it since she has only 1 job class. As Marina is daydreaming about what job she will get, a treasure chest suddenly appears before them as a reward for defeating the orcs. Later, as they take a lunch break, they find that the treasure chest had a magic bag inside it, and everyone decides to give it to Rain because supporters like her need it more. After that, they head to the 4th floor of the dungeon, and Yuk tells the girls that the entrance to the 2nd dungeon used to be guarded by a boss monster, but it has been many years since one was last seen. The girls ask him more about the boss monster, and he tells them about the Shadow Stalker, a monster that appeared to be made from pure darkness. Marina spots something exactly like that in the distance and asks Yuk if he is talking about that, and he is stunned to see that there is a real Shadow Stalker in the dungeon. He focuses his camera on it because Shadow Stalkers are really rare to find. He thinks that the Shadow Stalker won't reach them quickly because no one can just jump down from a higher floor. But the boss monster decides to prove that he is built different. He jumps down and shatters the invisible barrier that prevents anything from taking a shortcut. Yuk panics and realizes that they have no choice but to fight. He immediately pulls out a scroll to cast multiple enchantments on the girls, but the boss monster sends a dark wave towards Marina, shattering her barrier and knocking her out. While Rain heals her, Yuk and Silk take a stand against the Shadow Stalker. Yuk charges at it, and as the monster destroys his barrier, he understands that it can destroy magical shields. He uses an illusion spell to distract the boss monster with a clone while he reaches behind it, and then puts 3 offensive enchantments on his sword to attack. However, just as he is about to hit the boss monster, it uses a curse spell to completely freeze his body. Yuk realizes that this monster is really strong and intelligent, and they have no way to beat it. He wants to tell the girls to run away, but his body is frozen and he can't even utter a word. The girls panic on seeing their leader being taken down, and then the Shadow Stalker sends a dark storm towards them. Rain blocks it with a holy shield, and then Silk summons strong vines to attack the boss monster. It dodges everything and then attacks Silk from behind while Rain is busy trying to revive Yuk. Luckily, Marina is back in action. Silk takes the command in Yuk's absence and tells Rain to enchant Marina's sword with Holy Element. Rain does that, and Marina tries to attack the boss monster from up close, but it keeps dodging everything. Rain uses a wide-range spell to attack him, but the boss disappears and then appears near Marina and Rain, injuring them with his sharp claws. Next, he uses powerful magic to shoot dark magic beams at the girls from all sides. But just as all hope seems lost, Yuke comes back to his senses and uses a scroll that creates a holy shield around them. He throws away the high-level artifact that protected him from lethal damage and tells the Shadow Stalker that it will pay for hurting his girls. He immediately casts 1,000 snare circles on the ground, and no matter how hard the monster tries, he cannot avoid them all. He keeps slipping, and then Yuke uses all the debuff spells he knows to weaken it. He then uses a healing spell to get all the girls in peak shape. Next, Silk uses a tier 4 spell to bind the boss monster in strong vines, and then produces sharp thorns to pierce it all over. After that, Marina attacks it with her ultimate move, and finally, Rain casts the purification magic to exorcise the monster made of darkness. The fight is over with that, and Marina immediately runs to hug Yuke and crush his ribs. After that, Yuke asks Rain what did she learn about the Shadow Stalker from this fight, and she reveals that he was a zombie with an incredibly dense mana that should not be possible naturally. She believes that this is the clear sign of an overflow, and everyone gets worried. Marina and Silk suggest that they should start a live stream to inform everyone about it, but Yuke is against that. He says that they are wearing armor that has not been made public yet, so if they reveal it without the permission of their client, it would be problematic. He thinks that they should just reach the second dungeon and complete their quest so that they can inform the guild about it quickly. He starts moving ahead, but Rain stops him and heals the injury on his face before they continue their quest. They soon come to the gate to the second dungeon and end their mission by touching it. Later, they return to the city, and Yuke reports to the guild about the existence of the Shadow Stalker. He comes out to tell the girls that they can be interviewed later, so they will stay in this city for a few more days. They are really excited to hear that and tell Yuke that they should go sightseeing in their free time, and he gladly agrees. On the other side, Yuke's former party, Thunder Pike, is having a hard time ever since he left. They complain about eating dried food because when Yuke was with them, they could eat something new each time because of his magic pot. They aren't really cooperating well with each other as well, and leaving important things to the healer and the magician. On top of that, the magician is being treated like an errand girl, and everyone tells her to learn some useful skills because she is too weak and can't contribute much to the fight. Anyway, she turns on the live stream before their party heads into the dungeon, but within a couple of hours, they return to the guild after failing the mission. The receptionist smiles as she tells them that they have been failing a lot recently, and if that continues, they might get demoted. This infuriates Simon, but the receptionist stands on business and tells him to take easier jobs to save his party's name. After that, they start drinking and eating, and the magician girl Jamie sits at a separate table. The big warrior is furious that the receptionist talked about demoting them, but Simon says that she was right because they can't take high-level quests with just the 4 of them. The healer tells him to find another party member in that case because that is his job as a leader. The 3 of them quickly come to the conclusion that they need Yuke back in their team at all costs, but they don't know what they can do to make him come back. Simon, being Yuke's childhood friend, knows that he won't return so easily, and if they want to attract his attention, they need something that will convince him. He says that if they want to get Yuke interested, they will need to challenge the Infinite Darkness dungeon because that has been his goal since the beginning. He believes that if they do a joint quest with other parties, they can attract Yuke. Simon says that they just have to pretend to be serious about it because Yuke won't be able to think properly on hearing their offer to join them. The warrior and the healer agree with him, but the magician Jamie is really disappointed by how low her party has fallen. On the other hand, Yuke and his girls are back in the city after their successful quest. As they take a stroll through the market, everyone recognizes the girls because they were in the ad video released by the popular armor brand Earthies, but some butthurt men are jealous of them as well. Anyway, they are out on a mission to find a house to rent for their party. Their broker takes them to a house in the suburbs first, but Yuke turns it down because it doesn't look too safe for women. Next, the agent takes them to another house, and everyone thinks that it is better than the previous one. Yuke asks the agent to keep it on hold for them, and he says that he has one last option to show them. He takes them to the last house, but Yuke gets nervous as they get close because Thunder Pike's base is also in this region. On hearing this, all the girls decide that they don't even need to see the third property because they don't want a bunch of assholes to be their neighbors. With that, they buy the second house and their stuff is moved in soon as well. Yuke asks the girls if they have decided on their rooms because they should sort out their stuff quickly, and they say that they were just thinking about it. Silk asks Yuk which room does he want, and he gets confused because he wasn't planning on staying with them. He tries to tell them that it is not a good idea because he is a man after all, but the girls laugh at this incel who gets uncomfortable at the mere thought of sharing a house with 3 girls. Marina tells him that this is their party base, so all of them should stay together, and no one will mind if he accidentally walks in on them while they are taking showers or getting stuck in the washing machine. Yuk tells them that he has no desire to see their thottery and asks them to keep their doors locked all the times because they should not trust any man, not even him. With that, they settle into their new house, and Yuk even buys a 64-inch OLED television so that they can watch their recorded videos in 4K. The girls thank him for the gift, and they make a toast to celebrate buying their own base. As they start drinking, Rain's gaze becomes glued to the TV, and when Yuk looks at the screen, he sees his former party declaring that they are going to take on the Infinite Darkness dungeon. There are going to be more high-level parties with them on the quest to investigate the dungeon, and even the kingdom has given them the permission to enter. Yuk is stunned to hear this, and his girls try to comfort him. He tells them that he doesn't have any FOMO because the dungeon is going to be there even after this mission. He says that he wants to explore the bottom floor of the dungeon and reach the Abyss Gate, but now he wants to do it with his girls. He tells them that they don't need to worry about anything, because they will reach the dungeon one day, and then they will live stream their greatest adventure. As they start eating and drinking again, a letter slips in through the door and Yuk finds that it is from the guild. He goes there immediately, and the receptionist gives him an invitation letter from Thunder Pike, who wants him to join their party for the exploration of the Infinite Darkness dungeon. They promise to make him a permanent member after the quest, but Yuk wants nothing from them, and he asks the receptionist to reject the invitation on his behalf. After that, Yuk and Rain go grocery shopping, but Simon finds them there. He is furious because Yuk denied the invitation to join their party and asks if he has forgotten his dream to explore the dungeon. Yuk remains calm and tells him that he is proud that his former party is going to explore the hardest dungeon and wishes him all the best. Simon loses his cool and says that their plan needs him to be in the party, but Yuk refuses again. Simon tries to intimidate him by shouting, but Yuk tells him to use his brain for once. He reminds him that sending a request to someone who is already in a party is considered bad manners, and he is free to refuse any requests. The asshole knight blames Yuk for everything their party has gone through after he left, but that was the final straw. Yuk can't take it anymore and tells him that leaving the party was the best decision he ever made. He begins yelling at Simon, reminding that he dumped all the tasks that didn't involve fighting on him. He says that the party had it really easy because he was doing all the important work, but they never valued his contribution. Simon is taken aback by his rage, but then Rain holds Yuk's hand, calming him down. Simon tries to convince Yuk to return, promising that things will be different this time, but Yuk replies that it is too late. He says that he is going to stick with his party Clover, and whatever happens to Thunder Pike doesn't concern him. Yuk walks away holding Rain's hand and Simon curses him, saying that they will manage it even without him. 2 weeks later, Yuk is summoned by the guild master who tells him about the abnormalities in dungeons all around the region, which clearly signals a stampede. The guild master says that even the royal scholars think the same, and the reason they gave permission to investigate the Infinite Darkness dungeon was because of this. Yuk realizes that the situation is a lot more serious than he thought, and then the guild master says that he has a quest for his party. He wants them to investigate the Infinite Darkness dungeon, and Yuk immediately shoots down the idea because it is too dangerous. He says that Thunder Pike and other rank parties are strong enough to do the quest on their own, but the guild master informs him that 2 of the parties, including Thunder Pike, have backed out. He then gives Yuk a report about the only recorded log of the Infinite Darkness dungeon, reminding him of his dream to reach the bottom of the dungeon. The guild master tells him that they need someone as skilled and resourceful as him to take charge of this investigation. The old man then gives Yuk a scroll of exit, a super rare item that can teleport one out of the dungeon. Yuk asks why is he so insistent on him to take the mission, and he replies that he is the only person whose information he can trust. Just then, the receptionist comes there and hands over the official quest letter from the king to Yuk. He realizes that it will be tough to turn down the mission now, and tells the guildmaster that he will consult his party members before giving a final answer. Once he reaches home, he explains everything to the girls and says that they should turn down the request because it is too dangerous and they are not prepared for it. The girls, however, think that they have the latest equipment, and with some luck, they can manage to investigate the dungeon. Yuk is still not convinced because he is scared of losing them, and Rain hugs him, asking him to show more trust in them. The other girls also tell him to stop hesitating and chase his dreams freely, because they want to rise up in the world of adventurers with him. Their words give Yuk confidence, and he goes to the guildmaster's office with the girls and accepts the quest. He says that they might need another party member to fill in the role of a scout, and the guildmaster says that he has already prepared for that. On his cue, the receptionist comes there with a nervous cat girl who introduces herself as Neen. She says that she specializes as a ninja and wants to join their party for this mission. Yuk has no problem with a new party member, and they immediately go to the entrance of the Infinite Darkness dungeon, which surprisingly was under the guild building the whole time. The receptionist tells them that the guild building was made on top of the dungeon entrance to hide it from the world. The guild master tells Yuk that initially, there were 3 rank parties that were going to enter the dungeon, but 2 of them backed out. Yuk's former party, Thunder Party, is the only one left, and right now, they are inside the dungeon, but their sponsors are not happy with them. The guild master then tells him to be careful on the mission and wishes him all the best. Yuk checks his party's status and finds that all of them are fully prepared to enter the dungeon. With that, the entrance to the dungeon is opened, and Yuk starts the live stream before heading inside. The space inside the dungeon is warped with irregular gravity, but the party is able to walk through the passageway without difficulty. The cat girl Neen uses a magic lantern to check for any traps and a magic compass to find the direction. She finds no traps nearby, so she decides to go ahead and scout the area on her own before everyone else can catch up. In the meantime, the girls ask Yuk how is he feeling after coming to the Infinite Darkness dungeon that he has always dreamt of. Yuk tells them that it isn't as emotional or thrilling as he imagined, but Silk says that she is feeling quite excited. She says that her main reason to start adventuring was money, but when she heard Yuk talking about his dreams so passionately, she changed her mindset. That is why she feels really excited to be standing in this dungeon alongside Yuk, because he is very close to fulfilling his dream. Yuk is glad to hear that, and just then, Neen returns with her report. She found nothing dangerous on the first floor and even located the entrance to the first floor. But it is even more weird. There is a sunken ship in the middle of a forest on the first floor, and Yuk keeps looking around for anything more suspicious or out of place. He tells the girls that Thunder Pike has already reached the 8th floor of the dungeon. Marina says it is too slow because they started their journey 2 weeks ago. Yuk says that their pace is going to be even slower because they just have to investigate the dungeon for any odd thing. They are going to live stream everything so that the scholars at the Royal Academy can locate any problems or suspicious things. Just then, Neen stops everyone because her magic mirror shows her that a monster is nearby and they can't avoid it. They soon come across the monster, and Yuk asks Rain to hit it with a compact defensive spell and Silk to aim for its head. He then pulls a huge crossbow out of his and gives it to Marina so that she can attack the monster from a distance as well. Rain starts chanting a powerful spell, and while she takes her time, Yuk uses his special magic prismatic missile to hit the shark-headed monster. That doesn't do much damage, and the monster starts coming towards them, so Marina shoots it with her crossbow, piercing its chest. The monster gets furious because of this, and then Rain hits it with a fire spell, setting it ablaze. The monster is still standing, so Silk shoots 3 arrows at it. Seeing that it is still struggling to stay upright, Yuk gets in front of the girls to protect them, but after a few seconds, the monster finally falls down. Neen is impressed because she didn't even get to show her skills, and on top of that, she saw the unique spell that made Yuk famous. After that, they reach the safe zone and Yuk pauses the live stream while everyone rests and recovers their strength. Next, Yuk shifts everyone's attention to the treasure chest in front of them and suggests that they should open it off camera to avoid any controversies. He asks Neen to show her thief skills, and she begins poking around the keyhole to locate any traps. She finds a simple trap inside and easily deactivates it before opening the chest that is loaded with jewels. The girls start drooling on seeing so many jewels, and Yuk asks Silk to store all of them. Once she is done, he decides to inspect whatever is left in the treasure. He finds a ring artifact and a black cube artifact, which he can't analyze or understand. He tells the girls that it seems that the artifact is a baby that doesn't even know what it is. The girls get excited on hearing that the artifact is a baby, and both Marina and Rain want it. Yuk tells them that they will need to run it by the guildmaster to know what it is first, but he is sure that it is something rare. He then asks Rain to show her and then puts the ring he just found on her ring finger because it fits perfectly. He tells her that she should use this ring that can stabilize her mind, but when he looks at her, he finds that he has destroyed her mental balance by his actions. Rain is blushing like crazy because Yuke essentially proposed to her, and now she has no problem with giving the black box to Marina. They resume their exploration with that, and Nin uses the magic compass that detects the flow of air to find the entrance to the second floor. Once they reach the safe zone on the second floor, Yuke asks the girls what they think was odd about this dungeon. They tell him that the way the scenery changes constantly was odd, and other than that, only the shark-headed monster seemed out of place. Yuke agrees and adds that the treasure chest they found on the first floor was also unusual, because treasure chests are normally found in floors that are more difficult. He thinks that there must be some relation between the shark monster and the treasure chest being found on the first floor, and decides to think about it later. He says that they should head back for today since they have explored enough, and the girls agree. They walk back to the dungeon entrance, but then Nin senses someone coming towards them. It turns out to be Yuke's former party, which has got 2 new members for this mission. Simon acts arrogant as he tells Yuke that if he was going to come down here anyway, he should have accepted their invitation. Yuke replies that he was not going to fall for his scheme, and then reveals that they are here on a formal mission from the king. The other members of Thunder Pike get furious for no reason and call Yuke an ungrateful bastard, but Simon acts like they are partners on the same mission. He tells Yuke to hand over the livestream recording and all the items he has gathered to Thunder Pike because they are in an alliance now. He also pulls rank and says that it will be better if a rank party makes the report to the guild master, and his friends try to convince Yuke into thinking that it is the best option for his party's future. They keep telling Yuke to think of it as a great favor, and he starts getting pissed. Rain is also frustrated with their attitude, so she lashes at them for trying to use their rank to blackmail Yuke. Simon's party members tell her to shut up, calling her a savage dark elf, and that is when Yuke runs out of patience. He lashes at the warrior and the priestess, telling them that he won't tolerate anyone who insults his party members. He even gets ready to draw his sword against them, but Simon tries playing cool and asks him to hand over his loot. Yuke just slaps his hand away, telling him that he will never work with nasty a**holes like them. He leaves Simon and others shocked with his response as he tells his girls that they should return to the surface. This entire conversation was live streamed, and everyone who watched it thinks that it will cause a big problem soon. Well, it does cause a big problem, and not for Yuke's party, but for Thunder Pike. 2 days after this incident, they are summoned to the guild master's headquarters, who tells them there have been multiple official complaints against them from their sponsors, the Country of Elves, and the guild headquarters. Simon doesn't take it seriously and says that the bigger problem should be a C-rank party insulting a rank party like theirs. He adds that the guild should never have let a party with a savage dark elf in it enter the dungeon in the first place. But the guild master punches this racist piece of shit before he can complete the sentence. The guildmaster walks towards him as he says that since an A-rank adventurer like him made racist remarks against a dark elf on a live stream, it has harmed the reputation of their country. He grabs Simon by the throat, saying that his actions can cause serious problems between their country and the elves, and to prevent that, Thunder Pike will have to do an apology stream. Not only that, they will be put on trial, and in the worst case, they may be exiled forever. He lets him go with that, and Simon says that it is an unwise decision because if they exile an A-rank party, they won't have anyone to explore the dangerous dungeon. The guild master reveals that there will be no problem because Yuke's party has been given a temporary A-rank for this mission, and they have already shown great results. Despite this warning, Simon is not ready to apologize to anyone, and he curses Yuke for setting him up with his livestream. As he is busy cursing him in the middle of the street later, the fat ugly noble comes there and tells Simon that he has a way to get revenge on Yuke that will benefit them both. On the other hand, Marina approaches Yuke because she has figured out the use of the black box artifact. Yuke is eager to learn how a dumb like her could discover it, and Marina replies that after she spent enough time with the box, the idea came to her naturally. However, she can't use it by herself, and she needs Yuke's help to fully activate the artifact. He thinks that it needs a touch of his alchemy skills, but instead, Marina just asks him to hold the box and think about her. Yuke thinks about Marina as a fighter, and suddenly, the black box transforms into a special sword designed just for her. Marina is overjoyed to see the sword, but Yuke doesn't even understand what is happening. Marina refuses to explain things to him, and just says that the black box was like a baby. and it needed a mom and a dad before it could start functioning. Yuke gets embarrassed on hearing that, while this psycho bitch starts cuddling with the sword itself. The next day, Yuke and the Clover Party go to the Infinite Darkness dungeon again, and he turns the live stream on in advance. He then tells the girls that their mission for today is to reach the stairs in the 3rd floor of the dungeon, and they will decide whether to explore more or return based on what they find there. They quickly cross the 1st floor without issues and then reach the 2nd floor, which is much different than they expected. It is a vast grassy plain, and even the sky is there despite them being inside the dungeon. Everyone is left astonished by this sight, but Yuke tells them to take a deep breath and calm themselves. He says that there are records of some dungeon floors copying the outside world, but they are always found deeper than the 20th floor. He wonders if this floor is like the outside world because the dungeon layout changed, or if the lower floors of the dungeon are moving upwards because of some irregularity. No one has any answer to that yet, and Yuke decides to find more about the floor first. He asks Nin to do her thing, but her compass that tells the wind direction is not working because the wind here is too strong. Rain suggests that she can use her telescopic eye spell to scan the area quickly, and Yuke tells her to go ahead. This thirsty hoe climbs on his shoulders, and he begins melting under her thick thighs. Rain then uses her telescopic eye spell to look far away and finds a house in the distance before her eyes get tired. Yuke decides to check the house out, and on the way, he tells the girls that ruins are commonly found in dungeons, but a complete house appearing is a really suspicious thing. Moreover, he is worried about the sun in the sky. He believes that it is some sort of artifact that is giving them light and heat, but if it is designed to work like the real sun, it may set when night arrives. He thinks that it may be one of the dungeon floor mechanisms, and suggests that they take action while the sun is still shining. Soon, they reach the house and surprisingly, it looks newly built. Rain can't sense any mana coming from it, but Yuke refuses to believe that it is a normal house. Suddenly, the house door opens and an old woman comes out holding a tray with tea and pumpkin pie. She treats Yuke and the girls as guests and asks them to come and have tea with her, but they are incredibly alert now. Yuke refuses her offer, saying that they don't think they should come inside her house because it is suspicious, and the old woman says that he shouldn't resist because it is going to be night soon. Just as she says this, the day turns into evening and the house starts growing bigger. Yuke feels strangely drawn towards the house but stops right before entering it, and the old lady reveals her true form to be a goth mommy. She tells Yuke that he is a smart one to realize that coming inside would have been dangerous, and then her house grows even larger, turning into a dark castle where she sits on her throne after turning into a lowly. Yuke realizes that the woman in front of them is Persephone, the ruler of the underworld. Persephone is again impressed by how smart he is, and says that she is going to trap his soul and that of his friends for her entertainment till eternity, and they can't do anything about it. Yuke suddenly kneels before her, respectfully greeting her and saying that he will meet her again when his time comes, but not today. Persephone reluctantly takes his word, but she puts a curse mark on him to always remind of his promise. With that, Yuke tells the girls to run back to the 1st floor immediately and uses physical enchantment magic, allowing them to reach the safe zone before the dark mist of the castle catches them. Yuke ends the livestream and his girls give him a mirror so that he can see the curse mark on his face. Rain examines it and finds that it is way beyond her level, and Yuke tells her that he will hit the temple as soon as they reach home to do something about it. They begin having lunch with that, and Yuke tells the girls that they were just in Persephone's territory, which is mentioned in the old myths where daytime is just like Earth, full of life, but when night comes, it becomes the underworld and everything reverses. Yuke suddenly comes up with a theory about the underworld being found in the dungeon, and says that it must be because of the abyss gate located at the end of the dungeon. He says that different worlds are connected to each other through the abyss gate, and the infinite darkness must be a special dungeon that can replicate those worlds inside it. He thinks that Persephone's world is one of such worlds, but the bigger mystery is how something so dangerous was present on the 2nd floor of the dungeon. Suddenly, Yuke comes up with another theory that states that maybe they did not go to the 2nd floor, but to the 30th floor, which is the last explored floor of the dungeon. Rain seems to agree with him, and she says that maybe the stairs are making them skip a bunch of floors and leading them to random floors instead of going in the proper order. Yuke wonders if they should use the scroll of exit to teleport outside right away, but the girls suggest that they should recover their strength and try to reach the floor above them before taking the extreme step. Yuke listens to their suggestion, and all of them go to sleep. The next day, Yuke opens his eyes on hearing Simon's voice and finds that he is tied down. He doesn't understand what is going on, and Simon tells him that he followed him here to settle the score with him. He tells Yuke not to try anything because his party has his girls as hostages, and they have even put a slave collar around Rain's neck, which he got from one of his sponsors. Yuke tells him that if word about this gets out, he will be arrested, but Simon doesn't care because he is already at rock bottom. He tells Yuke that there is a way in which the girls don't get hurt, and that involves him signing a contract that reads that Clover and Thunderpike had formed an alliance when the mission started, and racist remarks against elves were common in Clover. Thunderpike was doing just what they do, so the root of the entire problem is Yuke, who started it all. According to the contract, Yuke is going to take responsibility for everything and his entire party will be absorbed into Thunderpike to cover for the damages they have done. Yuke is aghast on reading all this, and he says that he thought Simon was just an idiot, but he turned out to be an absolute Simon kicks him for saying that, and then starts stomping on him angrily, saying that if he doesn't comply, he will give the girls in his party all the STDs he has, and then kill them. He then derails from the topic and starts cursing Yuke for the misfortunes of his party while continuing to beat him. The warrior from Thunderpike tells Simon to stop wasting his time there and share the girls with him, and to avoid that, Yuke decides to sign the contract. However, just as he is about to sign it, the dungeon begins to shake, and then the floor suddenly collapses. Simon and his friends fall down first, and when Yuke goes to help his girls, he finds that Simon has taken his magic bag. He can't do anything in this case, and the ground under them collapses too. However, the magician girl Jamie, who is finding it hard to keep up with the scumbags of Thunderpike, uses a spell to slow down their falling speed. Yuke thanks her for saving them, and Simon can't stop cursing her. Just then, a huge horde of orcs come out and Jamie immediately gives Simon his magic bag before waking up and freeing his girls. Simon uses a scroll to keep the orcs away, and then decides to use the scroll of exit to get out. He asks Jamie to bring Simon and others in range as well, and she asks if he is sure about it after all they did to him. Yuke says that the law will decide what to do with them, but Simon has other plans. He takes Rain hostage and tells Yuke to save him if he wants to see the girl. The orcs start attacking them and Marina and other girls hold them off. Simon once again tells Yuke to save him, but then Jamie tackles him from behind, letting Rain get away. Simon kicks her and then starts walking towards Yuke like a deranged lunatic, even abandoning his party members who can't move. Jamie shoots a magic bullet at his knee to stop him from hurting Yuke anymore. Yuke asks her to come now, but she refuses, deciding to accept her fate with her old party instead. Simon tries ordering Rain through the slave collar to obey him, but Yuke teleports his party away before that. Simon gets frustrated and desperate because of this, and he decides to put forbidden muscle juice into his body to fight against the orcs who are gathering around him. Soon, Yuke and his party reach their home, and they find a recording stone left in Yuke's bag. It contains a message from Jamie, who just wants to apologize to Yuke for everything. She says that Yuke always arranged a necessary medicine for her sick brother, and she kept pestering him to give it to her for free without knowing how expensive it was. She feels pathetic about it, and says that she learnt Yuke's value only after he left her party. She thinks that if she had apologized to him sincerely earlier, he might have forgiven her and even let her join his party. Now, she thinks it is too late for anything like that, and that is why she is recording this message to make up for her past actions. Suddenly, Simon yells her name, and she abruptly ends the recording, but not before revealing that the list of the evil deeds of Thunderpike are recorded on the magic stone. Yuke feels terrible on seeing the message because after everything Jamie did to make sure he escaped the dungeon unharmed, he left her behind to die. Rain tries comforting him, saying that they had no other option, and then the guildmaster tells them that he just got a distress message from the Infinite Darkness dungeon. He plays the message on the TV, and it is just a voice note from Jamie saying that the dungeon is in a bad shape and the floors are falling apart. The guildmaster says that they are wondering if they should send a rescue team or not, and Yuke suddenly volunteers to go in and save Jamie. He asks the guildmaster to find another scroll of exit, but the old man tells him that he will be the one to decide if it is worth sending a rescue mission. He leaves the room with that, and Yuke tells his girls that he will go in alone to save Jamie, but the girls tell him that they too owe their life to Jamie, so they will come along. Yuke then decides to do something about the slave collar around Rain's neck, and he recites an unknown spell to deactivate the collar. Everyone is surprised to see this, and Rain says that she has never heard of a spell like this. Yuk believes that it is some sort of dark magic spell that was forced into him by the goddess of death Persephone along with her curse mark. While the girls are worried about him, Yuk thinks it is a good thing that he got the attention of the goddess of death. With that out of the way, he starts planning the rescue mission, when someone suddenly starts knocking at his door quite violently. Yuk opens the door and finds the fat, ugly noble there, who tells him that he should have opened the door quickly for his master. Yuk tells him to get the hell away from his home, and when the man tries punching him, he just kicks him where it hurts the most. His guards try to attack Yuk, but Marina and Neen quickly knock them out. The incel is shocked to see that the girls can still go against his orders because he is sure that Simon put the slave collar around Rain. He takes out the remote control and starts calling for Rain, and she soon arrives at the doorstep. The incel gets happy, thinking that she is obeying him, but Rain hits him in the face with a crowbar, knocking him down. Rain agrees to let the bastard live because of that, but she puts the slave collar around his neck and takes the remote control from him, telling him that if he tries approaching her ever again, he will die in the most painful and embarrassing manner imaginable. The incel tries explaining himself to her, but she just stands by Yuk and holds his hand, saying that she belongs to him now. Even Yuk is surprised to hear this, but he decides to make sure that the fatty never even comes near Rain again. He walks up to him and uses a dark spell that will make his blood literally boil till he dies if he comes close to Rain. The fatty freaks out on hearing that, and then Yuk asks Marina and others to hand him over to the guards. Later that evening, Yuk and the girls have made all the preparations for the dungeon run, but they are still missing the scroll of exit, which is the most important item. Yuk fears that the guildmaster might not find another one in time because they are so rare, when a veteran adventurer named Lucent knocks on his door. He is there to give Yuk a scroll of exit, because he believes that rescuing friends from danger is one of the most important duties of an adventurer. With the scroll in his bag, Yuk decides to enter the dungeon again, despite the guildmaster telling him that the dungeon is going to be sealed by royal orders, and he will be punished for entering it. The old man asks Yuk if he even knows how to find Jamie in there, and he explains the theory that the stairways lead to different worlds, which are affected by the subconscious thoughts of the adventurer. The guildmaster and the receptionist remember their glory days when they raided the dungeon, and Yuk's theory makes sense to them. They tell Yuk all the best for his mission, and he just asks them to start preparing for a welcome party. With that, Yuk and his party enter infinite darkness, and they immediately run into some monsters. With Yuk backing the girls with support magic, they manage to defeat them quickly and reach the safe zone. As they walk down the stairs, Yuk keeps thinking about saving Jamie, and his trick works because the second floor turns out to be a terribly damaged copy of their city. Neen finds a blood trail, and they immediately follow it in hopes that Jamie is still alive. They find her unconscious near her apartment, but then, to their utter surprise, Simon comes out and tells Yuk that he was going to come looking for him anyway. Yuk can't believe that Simon is still alive, but Silk tells him that he is not. She can sense a dark and twisted mana coming out of his body, just like she felt from the Shadow Stalker, and she is certain that he is a zombie. Yuk finally understands that the fat incel must have given Simon a powerful artifact that turned him into a zombie so that he could still keep fighting even after his death. Simon tells Yuk that he will make him pay for everything he has done, and releases a powerful wave of dark energy, and Marina immediately charges ahead to face him. Yuk quickly buffs her, and she manages to cut off Simon's arm before retreating. However, that is pointless because he immediately grows it back. He then releases another burst of dark energy towards Yuk, who uses a scroll to create a holy magic shield. Simon immediately charges towards him for close combat, but Yuk dodges his attack and tries to snare him, but that doesn't work. In the meantime, Silk and Rain use their magic spells to trap Simon, but he easily destroys them with his dark magic. Yuk immediately attacks him head-on, and Simon keeps yelling that he will kill him and destroy everything he loves. Yuk slashes him continuously, but Simon heals from everything instantly. Yuk takes a few steps back and decides to use his special spell Prismatic Missile to attack him. Simon takes the magic head-on and remains unharmed, confident that his immortal body will not be destroyed by it, and that is exactly what Yuk wanted. Simon's body suddenly starts bursting up in different places, and he begins growing uncontrollably from every place where an explosion occurs. He becomes an ever-growing lump of flesh and doesn't understand anything. Marina is also confused, so Yuke tells her that he used Persephone's power to modify the prismatic missile so that it stays active as long as the target is alive. Since Simon is immortal now, he will keep on suffering from the spell till eternity. Simon asks Yuke to stop his spell, reminding him that they are childhood friends, but he has nothing more to do with the bastard, and he walks away while Simon keeps exploding and growing like a cancer. Rain has been trying to heal Jamie in the meantime, but neither healing magic nor potions work on her wounds that were caused by Simon's dark magic. She has lost hope of surviving and apologizes to Yuke one final time before dying, but he tells her not to give up just yet. He uses Persephone's power to dispel all curses from her, healing her injuries instantly. Jamie faints as soon as her injuries are cured, but Rain is certain that she will be better now. Suddenly, the sky turns dark and a bunch of shadow stalkers spawn out of nowhere. They begin tearing apart Simon, and he keeps screaming in pain while his body continues to grow. Yuke bids farewell to the man who was once his friend as he uses the scroll of exit, leaving Simon to suffer in the dungeon for an eternity. 1 week after this incident, the guildmaster summons Yuke and Jamie to hand over their punishments. Yuke and his party's punishment is just a deduction of their score and a 1-month ban on any adventurer work, while Jamie's punishment is cancellation of her adventure license for 1 year. Neither of them can believe that they are getting off this easy, but the old guildmaster tells them to not think too much about it. They leave the guild after that, and Jamie still cannot stop apologizing to Yuke for everything Thunderpike did to him. She feels pathetic for taking advantage of his kindness for so long and wants to change, but Yuke tells her that she has already changed enough. Jamie starts falling for him, and she thanks him with a bright smile before they both head to their homes. A few days after that, Yuke visits the guild receptionist to make Neen a permanent member of Team Clover. The receptionist is glad to hear that and says that she will immediately start the paperwork. Yuke suggests that she should ask Neen about that first, but the woman knows what she is doing. She opens the door to the room, and Neen, who is snooping in on them, falls to the ground immediately. The receptionist lashes out on the catgirl for that, but Yuke tells her that it is fine. He then asks Neen if she wants to join his party, and she is more than happy to accept his offer. Suddenly, the receptionist hugs Neen, because as her mentor, she is really happy that she is joining a really great party. After their touching moment is over, Yuke leaves the room with Neen, who tells him that she was here to deliver a letter to him from Silk. As Yuke opens the letter, he tells Neen that they should check on Jamie before going home, and the catgirl silently follows him. Jamie has become a librarian now, and she uses her magic to place books in high shelves. Yuke and Neen come to the room and start making small talk. Yuke tells Jamie that this room belonged to the guildmaster, but he couldn't maintain it after bringing too many different books here. Jamie sighs, saying that it will take her a week to organize all the books and records in the room, and that greatly impresses Neen because a dimwit like her would need an entire year to do the same. Jamie is taken aback by that, but then she calms down and thanks Yuke for helping her get a job at the guild. She also thanks him for providing medicines for her brother, and then asks if he needs anything from her. Yuke tells her that it is Silk who actually wants to talk to her. He asks Jamie to stop by their house when she is going back home, but has no clue about the topic. Anyway, Jamie is almost done with her day's work, so she tags along Yuke and Neen as they head home. They begin talking about the weather like boring people, and Neen says that she doesn't like winter at all. Yuke tells her that his hometown got a lot of snow during winters, and he begins recalling the fun moments he had with Simon in their childhood. He gets depressed because of that, but the girls realize what he is thinking and snap him out of it. Soon, they reach their house, and Yuke urges the girls to go in first. They are surprised and suspicious of his actions, but still decide to follow them. As they open the door, Silk and others burst some party poppers to welcome Neen and Jamie to the Clover party. Both of them are really surprised, but that was what Yuke and his girls had planned for them. Jamie gets mad at him for deceiving them, but Neen is really thrilled about it. She feels happy on becoming an official member of Clover, and the girls take her inside. Jamie, however, stands in the doorway with her head hung down, and Yuke asks if she doesn't want to join their party. She emotionally tells him that after everything she has done to him, she doesn't deserve to be in his party. Silk and others return to the doorway on hearing this, and they tell Jamie that she is one of them now. They remind her that she saved their lives, so everything is even between them, and they could surely benefit with one more member in their party. Jamie is moved to tears on hearing their kind words, and then the welcome party starts. Yuk raises his glass to make a toast, but Marina interrupts him, saying that there are 6 of them, and she has never heard of a 6-leaf clover. Even Rain has never heard of that, but Jamie has, and she says that in flower language, a 6-leaf clover means glory. Yuk is glad to hear that their party name still makes sense, and he makes a toast to their future. Once the party is over, he walks Jamie home, and they start talking about the old times. Yuk says that when he first came to the city, he admired Jamie because he was a country bumpkin, and she gave off city girl vibes. Jamie also remembers the time when Yuk was completely clueless about most things in the city. To hide his embarrassment, Yuk says that Simon was the same as him, but the mention of Simon turns the mood of the conversation gloomy very quickly. Both Yuk and Jamie steer the conversation to their first mission as an adventuring party, and Yuk says that even though things were not good for him generally, he had fun with Thunderpike. He then says that maybe it is his fault that Thunderpike was completely destroyed, but Jamie doesn't think so. Yuk says that things would have been different if he confronted the other party members, but Jamie says that they would have not realized the value of his hard work back then, and he would have left them anyway. She holds Yuk's hand, telling him that it was not his fault. She says that she will repay him for everything once the ban on her is lifted and she becomes an adventurer again. After dropping her home, Yuk returns back to his place and finds Rain washing dishes by herself. She tells him that Neen was really excited about moving all her stuff in today itself, so she took Marina and Silk to help her. Rain had to stay behind because she lost in rock paper scissors, and now she has to do the dishes alone. Yuk starts helping her out, and Rain starts having fun seeing themselves working together. She says that they look like a newlywed couple, and that statement catches Yuk completely off guard. Rain starts sulking that he reacted so shocked, and she asks Yuk to come clean with his feelings. He suddenly holds her hand, and they both start blushing as Yuk says that he is not sure what he should do. After staring at each other for a while, Rain kisses him on the cheek, telling him that this is how she feels, and asks him to give his answer later. Yuk is completely flustered now, but before he can react, Neen and others return. They call Yuk to help them move the heavy stuff, and he runs away, still flushing red. A month later, the suspension on the Clover Party is finally removed, and Yuk visits the guild building to get some information about the available quests. The receptionist has a little insider news for him, and she informs him that a new dungeon has been discovered recently. Yuk is shocked to hear that because the last dungeon was discovered 10 years ago. The receptionist tells him about the dungeon's location and says that it would be a nice place to do the comeback live stream of the Clover Party. Yuk begins thinking about it, and then the receptionist adds that the royal scholars think that the abnormalities with all other dungeons were because of the appearance of this new dungeon. Since the Clover Party did a great job investigating the Infinite Darkness dungeon, the scholars want them to investigate the new dungeon as well, and the kingdom has issued an official mission request for them. Yuk is surprised and thrilled to learn that the kingdom is giving his party another great chance, but he cannot give an answer to the request before consulting his party members. He returns home to share the information with the girls, but he only finds Marina doing maintenance on her gear, while the other 3 are busy elsewhere. Yuk decides to tell them about the mission request at dinner, and Marina tells him that she is going to the guild for a bit because Jamie had something exciting to share with her. Just as she leaves, Rain comes out of the bath with her hair dripping wet, and tells Yuk to dry them for her. He does as he is told, and after that, Rain heads for a nap, inviting Yuk to join her, but he is a wimp to jump at the offer. Just then, Silk comes there with some coffee for him, and as they sit down to have a sip, Yuk decides to share the information with her first because she is the most responsible member of the party. Silk is also really excited to hear about the new dungeon, and asks Yuk if he has any details about the mission. He tells her that he forgot to ask for the details and decides to visit the guild once again. Silk asks him to visit Jamie in the guild as well, and invite her and her brother to the party they are throwing to celebrate the ending of their suspension. Yuk tells her that he will do so, and then Silk suddenly starts acting shy, asking him to take some free time and spoil her like he spoils Rain. Yuk panics on hearing that, but Silk dismisses it as a joke and sends him away to the guild to get information about the new dungeon. Soon, Yuk and the girls head to the city of Duna, where the new dungeon has been found. Yuk drives a carriage while the girls keep chatting about how excited they are to go to a faraway city to explore a new dungeon. After 2 weeks of traveling, they finally reach the trade city Duna. They immediately reach the market as soon as they enter the city and find that it has different kinds of stores they have never seen before. Yuke grosses Marina out by saying that people here eat three-eyed frogs stewed in snail slime, but then tells her that he was just joking. He suggests that they should try out the food in this city before they go on the dungeon exploration mission, and then promises Rain that he will visit an artifact shop with her too. Rain notices that a lot of adventurers are in the market, and Yuke suspects that the news of the new dungeon has already spread. He points out that there are even adventurers and soldiers from nearby countries here. The nation whose presence is felt most strongly is Salmuteria, a nearby country with a very strict social hierarchy. Yuke tells the girls that the people in Salmuteria are quite proud and rigid when it comes to their family and bloodline, so they all have unique designs on their clothing that show their family and status. Marina suggests that they are practically a family too, so they should also design matching cloaks and armbands for their party. Everyone likes the idea, and Yuke says that he will come up with something later. But then he begins to think of ways to make the matching accessories useful as well. Soon, they reach the Adventurers Guild, and while Yuke and Silk go to talk to the guild master, the rest of the girls decide to chill at the pub. Yuke and Silk meet the ugly old hag Maniela, who is the guild master of this city, and then Silk begins asking her about the details of the mission. Maniela tells them that they don't need to map the dungeon, but they are free to do so if they want. She also says that all the items that the Clover Party finds during its exploration are theirs to keep, but the guild will check them first and put them on a list in case they are dangerous. While Silk is talking with the old woman, Yuke keeps staring at her. She tells him to stop trying to appraise her because that is rude, and Yuke immediately apologizes. Maniela tells him that it is natural for him to beware of someone he has met for the first time, but she assures him that they are going to be honest business partners for some time now. She then tells Yuke that she is not just an ordinary old woman, but a member of the legendary party who reached the final floor of the Infinite Darkness dungeon. Benwood, the guild master from the previous city, was a member of the party, and so was Saga, Yuke's uncle who inspired him to become an adventurer. Yuke is astonished to hear all this, and then Maniela tells him to stop being so nervous around her. She wishes him all the best for the mission, and then gives him a map to the inn where she has arranged for his party to stay. Once they leave the guild, both Yuke and Silk try to relax because being with the old hag really exhausted them. They decide to check out the hotel she has arranged for them after picking up the rest of their party members from the inn, but when they reach there, they find them in a fight with a group from Salmuteria. The people from Salmuteria speak a different language, but they are obviously pissed at Marina and others, who hold their ground and tell them to get lost. While the rest of the customers are waiting for a fight to break out, Yuke arrives there and immediately rushes ahead to solve the matter. Marina tells him that these bastards were trying to force them to pour their drinks, and then some. Yuke realizes that they were trying to aggressively pick his girls up, and he tells the men that they should stay away from his friends. However, his Salmuterian is not up to the mark, and he ends up telling the drunk men that all the women in his party are his wives, and he makes love to them every night. The men are taken aback by this and leave immediately, and only Rain really understands what Yuke just said. Once the fight seems to be over, the crowd disperses, but Rain and Neen are still furious. After that, Yuke leads the girls to the place they will be staying, and on the way, he explains that Salmuteria is the worst nightmare of all feminists because women are treated as property there. That is why the drunk men tried to force themselves on Marina and others, but they also have strict laws that can backfire on them if they try to steal another person's woman. Yuke explains that when he said that they were his companions, the men must have understood his point and left to avoid conflict. Marina, the submissive gets excited on thinking that Yuke called her his property, but he tells her that it is not what he meant. She tells him to quickly make matching cloaks for the party so that everyone knows they belong to him. Just then, Rain also tells Yuke that his Salmuterian was not correct, but instead of explaining what he really said, she begins to giggle uncontrollably. Soon, they reach their hotel, and the elf manager turns out to be a big fan of the Clover Party. She tells them that all their expenses will be covered by the guild, so they can order anything they want. Also, the entire hotel is reserved for them as long as they are going to stay here, and the manager tells them to pick any room on the second floor. Yuke and others thank her for her hospitality, and the manager decides to show them her hotel's speciality before they go to their rooms. She leads them to a hot spring in the backyard, and only Neen has seen one before. She eagerly tells her friends about how hot springs work and invites them to take a dip with her before having dinner. The next day, Yuke and Silk hold a meeting to explain their strategy for the upcoming mission. They say that they will follow the same pattern they used during the Infinite Darkness dungeon mission and livestream everything. Their goal is to fully explore the dungeon till the 5th floor, after which it will be open to the public. Silk explains that they only know that the 1st floor of the dungeon is partially underwater, and they can find a lot of water and bug-type monsters there. Moreover, they need to be fast while exploring the dungeon, because there are 2 other parties who will be sent on the same mission as them. Yuk tells the girls that they don't need to take part in this exploration race because the other 2 parties are more experienced than them, and if they try to compete, they might get injured. After explaining this, Yuk says that on the first day, they will aim to reach the 2nd floor and then cover the entire 1st floor to get a good idea of what the deeper floors are like. He then tells Neen that her airflow artifact might not be able to help her find the way out in the dungeon because of all the water, so she should come up with another way to find the proper way. After that, Silk tells everyone to finish their preparations by the end of the day because they will be heading to the dungeon first thing in the morning. The next day, they head to the dungeon's location, and Manuela is there to greet them at the observation center set up by the royal scholars. Marina asks her the name of the dungeon, and Manuela says that it has not been named yet because they don't know what is inside. She tries to encourage Marina by saying that her party might be the one to name the dungeon, and everyone gets excited on hearing this. With that, they go to the entrance of the dungeon, and Yuk starts live streaming to let the world know that Clover is going to explore a new dungeon today. The party enters the dungeon, and while Yuk and the girls are chatting excitedly about their expectations from the new dungeon, Neen finishes scouting the way ahead. Yuk asks her if she finds anything special, and the cat girl tells him that she saw something that she doesn't recognize or even understand. Everyone follows her, and Neen shows them the strange floating chains around the corner using a mirror. Even Yuk has not seen anything like it, but he suspects it to be a monster, so he tells the girls that they are going to attack it. He enchants their physical abilities before rushing at the chain monster, who begins attacking them as soon as they come in his range. Yuk uses his debuffs to slow it down, giving Marina and Neen the chance to attack it up close, but they don't do any damage at all. The monster suddenly grabs rocks and starts yeeting them at the party, so Yuk hits it with another round of debuffs. The monster attacks him in response, but Rain stops it using a thunderbolt. Just as the monster is pushed back by her attack, Marina leaps at it, unleashing her ultimate move to slash the chains and the core of the monster in half. She is really exhausted after this fight, and Yuk decides to analyze the enemy they just fought before moving ahead. Neither Rain nor Silk have a clear idea, but they tell him that the monster was like a magic creature, but it also had dark and corrupted energy like zombies. Yuk decides that it is best to let the royal scholars handle the decoding process, and he begins picking up the pieces of the monster. Rain suddenly notices a shiny ring in the rubble, and Yuk picks it up. He tries to appraise it, but doesn't find anything helpful information about it, so he leaves it for the scholars as well. After that, Neen decides to scout the region ahead quickly, and Yuk begins to worry that this dungeon might be really difficult if they faced such a strong monster right off the bat. Marina has some input about the monster, and she claims that it felt like a human. She explains that her samurai job gives her an idea about what she is killing, and Rain agrees with her because even after they killed the monster, it dropped no magic stone. While everyone is wondering what the monster really was, Neen returns after finding the staircase to the 2nd floor. However, she shocks everyone by revealing that the stairs go up instead of down like they do in normal dungeons. Yuk is curious, but then Neen says that she found another weird thing ahead. She leads the group to a small study area that seems oddly out of place. Yuk finds a book in a drawer, and after Rain confirms that it is not cursed, he opens it, only to find that he can't read the language. He decides that they should go to the stairs and rest there before planning their next step. But as he sees the bright lights in the safe zone, he is suddenly reminded of Simon's brutal fate. The PTSD from the memory starts hurting Yuk intensely, and he cuts the live stream as he tells the girls that they should rest now. They are worried about him, and Rain puts her robe over his head to protect him from the lights before telling him to take a nap. Yuk takes up on her offer, and after sleeping on her lap for a while, he wakes up refreshed. He then tells his worried friends about how the lights reminded him of the sky on the day he fought Simon, which triggered his PTSD. The girls suddenly cling to him, offering to be his unpaid therapists, but Yuk tells them that he is fine now. After dealing with his trauma, he asks them if they should explore the 1st floor some more or go to the 2nd floor, and the girls choose the second option. Yuk believes in democracy, so he decides to go with the majority. But before doing anything else, he tells them that it is lunchtime. While he starts cooking, Marina brings out another video recording drone so that they can live stream their dungeon cooking videos on another channel for maximum profit. After the lunch break, the party heads to the second floor. To their shock, the second floor is in the form of a well-maintained city that gives Yuk the flashbacks from the Infinite Darkness dungeon. He realizes that something really strange is happening here, and he tells the girls that they need to head back, when suddenly, he hears a voice telling him that he is right. Everyone gets into position to fight, and then an old wizard suddenly appears in front of them out of nowhere. He introduces himself as Loj, a poor old man who is left behind in this broken world. Yuk asks him why is he in this dungeon, and Loj is amused to learn that this place is a dungeon in their reality. He tells Yuk and the girls that this city was once called the City of Joy, but now things have changed a lot. Everyone is confused by the senseless statements of the old man, and the girls ask him if he is the only one in the city now. Loj tells them that the king and all the people in the city are here too, but he cannot explain the details of the situation to them in a way they will understand. He then starts to disappear into black smoke, but tells Yuk that they will meet again, calling him by his full legal name. Yuk panics because he never told the old man his name, and as he feels Persephone's curse activating, he gets even more paranoid. He tells the girls that they need to dash now, but then Marina points towards an unconscious girl lying in front of them. Soon after that, Yuk and his party come out of the dungeon, and he goes to the old hag and the royal scholars to discuss the strange things they saw. He is shocked to find that the old guy Loj didn't show up in the live stream, and the scholar thinks that Yuk and his party were hallucinating. The scholar says that they are still studying the things they brought back from the dungeon, and then Maniela decides to take Yuk for a walk. She tells him that the all-girls party that was exploring the dungeon has quit because half of their members fell sick just after entering it. She then asks Yuk what he really thinks about the dungeon, and he clearly says that it felt like another world. Maniela seems to agree with him, and she tells Yuk to trust his intuition because they might lead him to the correct answer. She then asks about the girl they found in the dungeon, and Yuk replies that she is still sleeping. After Maniela leaves, Yuk starts thinking about the dungeon, when suddenly, he sees a letter flying into their tent. He goes inside to find Rain in a gloomy mood because she got a letter from her grandfather, Count Crowder. She tells everyone that she is the illegitimate daughter of a noble family, and her mother was kicked out of the house as soon as she got pregnant. After her mother's death, she joined the Magic Academy somehow and became an adventurer. But now her grandfather, who never even acknowledged her existence, has sent a letter calling her back. As Rain starts crying, Yuk reads the letter to learn that Count Crowder has fixed Rain's marriage with the second prince of Salmuteria. He still calls her a bastard and tells her to be grateful that she is getting a chance to serve the family, and everyone gets furious on reading that. Rain is really devastated and doesn't know what to do, but Marina tells her that there is a simple solution to the problem, which is ignoring it entirely. She points out that Rain's name is not even written on the letter, so they will pretend that it was not meant for her. And though it sounds really dumb, Yuk is on board with that idea. He burns the letter, saying that now there is no proof that they even got it, and the relieved Rain hugs him and starts to cry. Yuk comforts her, saying that if the Count tries to reach her again, they will come up with an even better plan. He then asks Neen to contact the guild receptionist, who is also her mentor, and request her to collect all info on the Count and the second prince of Salmuteria. He also wants her to erase any proof that Rain is from the Count's family, and Neen agrees without even realizing that her mentor used to be a legend back in the day. After that, Yuk tells Marina and Silk to prepare for the next dungeon run, while he takes Rain outside to talk. He tells her that he has a reckless idea to save her from her family, but that involves marriage. Rain blushes as Yuk explains that if she marries him, she becomes his property according to the rules of Salmuteria, and then no one from that country can take her away from him. Rain has no doubts or hesitation about the plan, and she agrees to be Yuk's wife even if it is just an act. The next morning, Yuk and Zack, the leader of the second party, meet with Maniela, who tells them that they are going to continue the dungeon exploration mission after all. Zack is really excited about it, and also quite hostile against Yuk as he tells him that his party is going to explore the dungeon first. After the weirdo leaves, Maniela tells Yuk that his marriage with Rain has been approved, and she is pretty confident that the marriage won't stay a fake one for long. After that, Yuk and his girls head to the dungeon once again to explore the city on the second floor. Neen goes ahead to scout it as usual, and she immediately comes back running to tell everyone about a giant cocoon in the city square that looks creepy and dangerous. There is one cocoon on each pillar, and Rain senses a dark and corrupted mana being released from them, which is similar to the chain monster. Neen decides to scout the cocoons, but as she goes near them, she gets hypnotized by the cocoon's eye. Immediately after that, a mouth appears in front of the cocoon's belly, and it lunges towards Neen to swallow her whole. Luckily, Yuk saves her from becoming monster food, and once Neen is at a safe distance from the cocoons, all of them go back to sleep mode. Neen also returns to her senses, and Yuk realizes that they need to fight the monsters with ranged attacks. Marina eagerly pulls out her crossbow for that, and Yuk tells Silk to do what she does best. He asks Rain to use ice magic because if the cocoons are really some sort of bug, temperature changes will hurt them. After that, he buffs everyone with his support spells and then runs towards the pillars. The cocoon monsters try to hypnotize him with their eyes, but Yuk uses a flashbang spell to blind them, and then uses a more powerful blindness spell to keep their eyes shut. Marina and Silk immediately fire their arrows, defeating 3 of the 4 monsters. But when Rain shoots her ice magic at the last one, it proves ineffective. Marina decides to steal her kill and charges at the monster with her ultimate move, with Neen and Yuk supporting her to finish the monster. The monsters drop rings instead of magic stones, and Yuk collects them all. He then notices that Marina has been standing silently in a corner ever since defeating the last monster, and he asks her if everything is alright. She is about to tell him the truth, but then sees the camera drone, so she tells him that she needs some time to settle down. Yuk realizes what she wants, so he suggests that they rest in a nearby building and cuts off the livestream. While the group has a tea party, Marina tells them that when she cut down the cocoon monster, she felt like she was cutting a human. However, that is not the surprising part. She says that the pillar she cut down along with the monster felt like a human too, but she couldn't be certain even though she should be because of her samurai job class. Everyone is stunned to hear this, and Yuk suggests her to try cutting something in the room, but Marina says that she has already tried that, but the results were still not clear. She feels depressed and helpless, but then Silk says that she also feels something is very wrong with this place because the spirits are not communicating properly with her. She says that it somehow feels like the land of the dead that Persephone rules, and Rain agrees, saying that the mana here is not normal. Yuk agrees with all of them, and he says that they should go to the rooftop to get a better view of the city before doing anything else. Once they see the full expanse of the city from the roof, Yuk says that they will aim to enter the castle at the center of the city today, and once they explore it, they will call it a day. With that, they start walking towards the castle, but the silence of the city gives them the chills. They wonder if no one really lives here, which reminds them of the mysterious old man named Loj. While Yuk thinks he really might have been a hallucination, Rain disagrees with him because she has the sanity ring he gave her that makes her resistant to any mental effects. Everyone believes her, and they think that since Loj was real and still didn't appear on the livestream, he must be interfering with their drone cam. Suddenly, they spot Loj at the gate of the castle, and they immediately reach him, asking what is wrong with this city. Loj tells them that this city is completely fine, and the people here are saved so well that they don't need to be saved from anything ever again. Yuk asks him if the monsters they fought earlier were humans, and instead of giving him a clear answer, Loj starts a philosophical lecture on what actually is a human. Realizing that he won't answer this question, Rain asks him about the golden rings. Loj tells her that they are called the One Gold, and Rain asks what is he compiling with them. No one else understands this wizard mumbo-jumbo, but Loj warns Rain that the knowledge she is seeking will traumatize her. He tells her that she already knows what the purpose of the rings is, and then vanishes, telling Yuk and his party that they will meet again. Yuk asks him if he will tell them the truth the next time, and Loj tells him that the truth will find them in its due time. Everyone is even more confused now, but then the gates to the castle open, and they decide to explore it quickly and then head out. Later, Yuk analyzes the recorded clip and the castle's layout with the supervisor of royal scholars and Maniela. They now believe that Loj is not a hallucination, and Maniela compliments Yuk on his good work. Even the royal scholar praises him, and Yuk is taken aback by this because the man in front of him is Viscount Bodman, a renowned scholar and one of Yuk's favorite authors on dungeons. Bodman then presents the report on the gold rings and says that they were derived from humans. Yuk tells him that they already had a hunch about this because of Marina. Manuela says that if the monsters inside the dungeon are really humans, then things get tricky, because they will need to restrict the adventurers who can enter the dungeon. Yuke then tells them that Marina felt that even the pillars in the dungeon were humans, and this shocks both Manuela and Bodman. Yuke says that he brought some samples from the pillar and other places, and Manuela immediately calls an office worker and asks about the appraisal status of those samples. The man tells her that the appraisal will take one more day, but she tells him to spank the chief appraiser and tell him to get it done by the end of the day. After that, Bodman tells Yuke that he has already received a request from Rain, and his men have started producing an artifact like she requested. He then begins talking about the all-girls party that entered the dungeon but didn't make any progress because their members fell sick. He explains that the people who watched their live streams also suffered similar symptoms from mild fever to severe violent outbursts. He thinks that there is something wrong with the stream, and Yuke immediately thinks about Loge calling the second floor of the dungeon, the city tainted by twilight. He is sure that the golden light of the city is the reason behind all the problems, but there is no way to prove that right now. Bodman then tells Yuke that the country will take its time to decide what to do with the dungeon, but his party is needed to stay in the city for the time being so that they can do a few more runs. Yuke agrees to do that and leaves the tent, only to find Min dashing towards him frantically. She informs him that the girl they found in the dungeon has woken up, and she suddenly went Super Saiyan. Yuke runs to his party's tent to see what is up, and he is astonished when he sees the girl floating in the sky while radiating a pure golden light. No one has any idea what is happening, but then the girl suddenly calls Yuke by his full legal name, saying that she was waiting for him. She says that she was once called the Golden Priestess, but there is no time to talk about that. She tells Yuke that his world is in serious danger of facing an event called the culling, which means the destruction of most of the life on this planet. Yuke doesn't understand what she means, so the Golden Priestess explains that just like the city in the dungeon, soon this world will also be engulfed by the golden twilight and become lifeless just like it. However, because Yuke and his party have already crossed the border between the worlds once in the Infinite Darkness dungeon, they are partially resistant to twilight. The priestess tells him that if they don't go too deep inside the twilight zone, they will not be consumed. She then tells them to seek out Loge because he knows everything, but the girls reply that they have already met the old man who refuses to answer their questions. The priestess tells them that they need to force him to tell them the truth because he is the only normal being in the distorted world. Rain asks the priestess why she is telling them all this, and she replies that the tragedy started because of their fault. It was their king who got too greedy and wanted a golden eternity for his city, creating the destructive phenomenon known as the Twilight. She throws in a bunch of heavy words in the conversation like the fruit of world tree, the ultimate treasure, and some more, but no one understands what she means. In the end, the priestess asks Yuke to stop the Golden King and destroy his treasure because that is the only way to save his world from certain doom. With that, the golden glow leaves her, and she suddenly turns into a normal human named Rune. Her personality completely changes as a result, and she tells Yuke that the woman who just spoke to him was not her, but she can sometimes access her body to communicate with others. Yuke realizes that the issue is more serious than he thought, and he decides to inform the higher-ups about it immediately. 1 week later, Yuke is summoned by the director of the Royal Academy, who came to the research center after reading Bodman's report. Yuke is nervous in front of him, but the director tells him to be at ease because they have something very important to discuss. Yuke starts the conversation by asking him about the culling, and the director shows him some murals that are locked deep within the Royal Treasure Hall. In the mural, a hero fights a powerful monster to save the world, but Yuke can't understand anything else because he can't read the ancient language in the mural. The director then explains that there are many parallel worlds just like their own, and sometimes they collide. When that happens, one of the worlds is destroyed, and this is called the culling. Usually, it is random, but this time, they have proof that the person named Golden King tried colliding his world with this one on purpose. The director says that they don't have any time to think about the reasons behind it, because they need to take emergency measures to protect their world. He tells Yuke that he is the only one who can do it, because according to the murals, whenever a world faces the danger of culling, a hero is chosen to save it. The director says that since Yuke found everything about the Golden City and the culling, he is their hero, and it is his duty to save the world. Yuke panics on hearing this and tells the director to cut him some slack because he is not qualified for the job. The director tells him that someone has to take on this responsibility and he is the only one who is fit for it. He then threatens Yuke that he will raise one of his girls to a rank and make them the hero if he refuses. Yuke becomes more cooperative on hearing this, and then the director compares him to his uncle Saga, saying that both of them have great talent, but Yuke lacks confidence. The director once again asks Yuke to become the hero, especially because the priestess from the other world chose him. Yuke feels unsure about what to do now, so he asks the director for some time to think about it and consult his party members. The director agrees to his request, but he is confident that Yuke will surely realize that he is the only one who can save this world. Soon, Yuke returns to his hotel and tells Rain about his conversation with the director before anyone else. She is impressed by the idea of him becoming the hero, but she says that she will support him even if he wants to refuse. However, she also believes that he is the only one fit for the role. She reminds him how the Golden Priestess possessed Rune to talk to him. Rain says that the priestess seemed to be waiting for him, which means he is special. Yuke sighs, saying that he doesn't mind exploring the dungeon a bit more, but saving the world is too much. Rain suddenly starts caressing him as she tells him that he just needs to keep doing what he has done till now because everyone in the Clover Party will support him, and together, they can do anything. Yuke feels better after hearing all that, and then Rain sits on his lap and hugs him, telling him not to worry about anything because they are stronger than he thinks. A few days after that, Yuke attends a meeting with the leaders of the parties that are going to explore the dungeon now. Apart from the guy named Zack, there are 2 more people who lead a rank parties, and the director gives them the details about their mission. He informs them that this time, the viewership of their live streams will be restricted, and only the royal scholars will see it to minimize the damage from the golden light of the twilight. After that, Zack suddenly gets angry because Team Clover is still participating in the dungeon raid even though it has become more dangerous. He complains to the director to get them removed, but no one pays any attention to his rumbling. The other adventurer named Lucent who helped Yuke in the past tells Zack to stop whining because Yuke's party has shown their abilities while investigating Infinite Darkness Dungeon. Even the girl leading the last party says that ranks don't matter in situations like these and only results do, and Zack has nothing to say after that. All the adventurers leave the room one by one after that, but Yuke stays behind. The director tells Yuke that it was a good idea to keep the hero business a secret from others because Zack would have reacted even more explosively on hearing it. The scholar Bodman adds that Rain had asked them to prepare special magic devices and they are almost ready as well. After that, Yuke returns to his tent and puts together all the maps that the different parties have drawn till now. None of them give him any idea how to get inside the castle in the Golden City, but Rain suggests that they take Rune with them. She believes that since Rune is from the Golden City, the castle gates may open for her. Yuke thinks that the idea is not bad, but he still has some doubts about taking Rune back to the dangerous place. Just then, Lucent comes to the tent to discuss the strategy for the next mission with Yuke. Yuke informs him about Rain's plan to take Rune inside the castle, and Lucent is completely on board with that. He even offers to guard Rune during the mission, and though Yuke is still not sure, he realizes that taking the girl with them is their best bet. The next day, the 4 parties enter the dungeon with Lucent's party joining Clover. They come to the castle gate and find Loge waiting for them there. The old man welcomes Rune, asking her about the outside world, but she doesn't remember him. Loge says that it is better that she forgets everything about this place, but then Yuke reveals that the priestess talked to him. Loge realizes that the priestess chose Yuke, but he still refuses to tell him anything. However, he opens the door to the castle, telling Yuke that since Rune is with him, he will find the answers he wants. Lucent suspects that this might be a trap, so he leaves half his party members outside to call for backup if anything goes wrong. He then joins Yuke's party as they enter the castle. Loge leads them to the royal library, saying that he is not much of a talker, but they might find the answers here. The wizard of Lucent's party realizes what is actually going on with the old man and tells Yuke that Loge actually wants to talk about something, but he is either cursed or he has too much mana. That means that speaking certain things out loud can create great problems for him and everyone else, so he is trying to communicate through hints. Loge gets awkward on hearing this, but his gesture tells everyone the direction to look in. The old wizard asks Lucent to bring the red books on the shelf and then takes Rune along with him because she is the only one who can read the language. Rain senses a strange mana from a big brown book and the study table's drawer, and Silk also feels that the spirits in the library are connected to people's memories. She decides to connect with the spirits, and suddenly a book possessed by a spirit comes flying towards her. Silk eagerly starts asking the book spirit the things they want to learn, and on the other hand, the old wizard scans Rune's mind as she reads the ancient books. Meanwhile, Neen finds a key to open the big book that Rain noticed earlier, but Yuk is not sure about opening it. He asks Loj if the book is dangerous, but he doesn't give him a clear answer. However, when Yuk forces him to say that the book is not dangerous, it suddenly glows and a trap inside it is diffused. Yuk opens the book after that and finds that it contains many similar magic circles, but he can't make out their meaning. Suddenly, Silk comes there, claiming that she can help him with that. The book spirit in her hands has shrunk down quite a bit, and Silk says that it can help him understand what is written in the books. As Silk holds Yuk's hand and uses the power of the book spirit, they find themselves standing on top of the book. The book spirit turns into a white snake named Biblion, and tells Yuk that he cannot understand the true meaning of the book just by reading it. The spirit snake says that it will interpret the book correctly for him, and Yuk takes up the offer. The spirit snake uses its power to drown Yuk into the memories of the person who wrote the book. The author tells Yuk what the book is about, and when he returns from the memories, Yuk explains to the girls that this book is about creating a chain of spells that can create an extremely powerful result. The rest of the girls don't understand what he is talking about, but Rain and the old wizard from Lucen's party realize how powerful the spell is. Yuk asks the old wizard if he is finished with his task, and he replies that the red books contain the history of the Golden City. According to the books, the City of Joy was the capital of a rich and advanced kingdom, but one day, they had to face an event like the culling, so they tried to come up with a way to avoid that. Yuk adds that the magic spell mentioned in the book also aims to deal with the main source of the culling event, instead of just delaying it or evacuating people. The more Yuk talks about the spell in the book, he starts feeling a sharp headache. He tells everyone that they should head out now, and just then, the all-girls party also arrives there. Yuk and Lucent tell them that they are going to retreat now, but then they learn that Zack and his party went deeper into the castle. Yuk decides to leave them alone because they can't stay in this dangerous place any longer, and the leader of the girls' party says that she will stay on guard till Zack returns. With that, Yuk and his girls leave the castle, but he keeps thinking about the magic in the book and how it is connected to the fate of the Golden City. Soon after that, Yuk and others go back to the control room and tell the higher-ups about their discoveries. They explain that the dungeon is actually a real city from a parallel world, whose king wanted to save it from twilight, so he used a special magic to take it across dimensions. However, his magic was imperfect, so he ended up turning all the people in the city into objects. He then puts a ring he got from the monsters on the special device that the scholars made on Rain's request. As Rain activates the device using her magic, it projects a vision of the Golden City. The director asks if the rings found from the monsters are able to display messages in the same way their broadcasting drones work, but Rain denies that theory. Yuk explains that initially, he had the same theory too, but now he has realized that the rings store the information about the people themselves. He explains that King Vorden of the Golden City found that he could not carry humans to another dimension, even with his special magic, so he came up with the golden rings that could turn them into something other than humans. The old wizard says that this crazy idea proves that the king was already under the effect of twilight, and then presents the books he found in the library. He says that King Vorden possessed a special treasure called the One Gold, but they don't exactly know what it could do. Yuk recalls that the Golden Priestess told him that the One Gold was the fruit of the World Tree that could grant any wishes, but it was also something humans were forbidden from even touching. He believes that King Vorden used the One Gold to create the rings and gave them to his people. After that, he tried traveling through the dimensions, but his magic was imperfect, and the people of his city were corrupted and turned into monsters. Yuk says that according to the Golden Priestess, the only way of stopping this tragedy is by defeating the king and destroying the One Gold. The director asks him if he can do it, and Yuk replies that he has to do it at all costs. After that, Yuk and Rain head back to their hotel, when suddenly, a carriage stops in front of them and an ugly balding man comes out of it. He tells Rain that he was looking for her, but she doesn't even know who this creep is. He introduces himself as her Uncle Bran, saying that he is here on the behalf of the head of the Crowder family to take her back with him. Rain gets nervous on hearing this, but Yuk hides her behind him and then tells the man that he has got the wrong person. Bran knows Yuk's identity too, and he tells him to not stand in his way because Rain should go back to her rightful family. Yuk refuses, saying that Rain has no family, and Bran sends his guards to take her away by force. Yuk uses snare and sleep spells on the two guards, knocking them out. Bran gets scared, but he still acts arrogantly, telling Yuk to get aside because Rain's marriage has been fixed to the Prince of Salmuteria. He even gets ready to hit him, but then Yuk asks him for proof that Rain is actually the daughter of the Crowder family. Bran falls silent on hearing this, and Yuk accuses him of trying to kidnap a random girl and then marry her to another country's royalty by pretending that she is their daughter. Bran tells him that even if the girl is not a member of their family, she is going to become a queen, and their family will also benefit greatly from it. He orders Rain to come back to her father, but she activates a magic spell as she tells him that she doesn't want to. She shoots a tiny lightning bolt just above Bran's head, burning what little hair he had on the top of his head and scaring him shitless. He immediately runs away after that, and Rain tells Yuk that they should head home before anyone else comes after them. Meanwhile, Bran runs straight to the second prince of Salmuteria, who asks him where is the bride he ordered. Bran nervously tells him that it will take some time because Rain has got a bad temper after becoming an adventurer. He says that she even shot a lightning bolt at him, and this shocks Prince Masmoda because women can't even leave the house without permission in his country. Anyway, he decides to give Bran some more time because he needs Rain for a special reason. He also tells him to bring all the girls she hangs out with so that she has some friends in his harem. Bran says that it will be difficult, but Masmoda increases the reward by 5 times, and the ugly bastard immediately sets out to get all the girls from Clover for his client. Unaware of this, Yuk and his girls keep forming strategies for their dungeon raid and fooling around in the hot springs. A few days later, it is time for the final mission to destroy the One Gold. But while Yuk and others are discussing the details with the old hag, they receive news that Zack's party kidnapped Rune and took her into the dungeon with them. Everyone panics on hearing this, but Yuk tells them to stay calm because they can solve this problem. He assembles the remaining 2 parties and tells them that they must catch up to Zack's party quickly, and then they can head to the deepest parts of the castle to destroy the One Gold. They rush inside the dungeon with that, but as they enter the 2nd floor, they find a huge number of cocoon monsters waiting for them. The leader of the girls' party tells Yuk that they will handle the monsters and he should go ahead and rescue Rune. Yuk objects, but Lucent tells him that he is their main character in this mission, and he must keep moving ahead to do the most important things while they just back him up. Following his advice, Yuk rushes ahead with Lucent's party while the girls fight the monsters. However, just as they reach the castle gate, they find a horde of monster knights waiting inside. Lucent tells Yuk that his party will handle them and he should go inside to deal with the One Gold. The wizards from Lucent's party begin attacking the monsters to attract their attention, and using this chance, Yuk and his girls slip past them. They reach inside the castle soon, and Neen finds the route that Zack took. She says that he is heading straight to the throne room, which is exactly where Yuk believes the One Gold is. As they rush towards the throne room, Yuk feels someone coming and immediately alerts his party. However, it turns out to be Loj. Yuk tells Loj that he learned a lot from the library, including details about him. Turns out that Loj is the son of King Vorden, and Rune is his niece and the king's granddaughter. Loj feels no need to hide things from Yuk now, and he says that his father made a mistake, and Rune is the key to make things right. He wishes Yuk the best of luck and then vanishes, leaving a gold ring behind. Yuk's party soon reaches the throne room's door and hears Zack laughing inside. Yuk tells them to get ready to fight, and Silk calls out the book spirit to assist her. With that, they charge inside the room and find Zack and his friends enjoying the loot they found in the royal chamber. They tell Yuk that he is too late because their party conquered the dungeon first. Yuk doesn't care about that and asks where is Rune, but then Marina tells him to look at the end of the room. Yuk is shocked as he sees King Vorden on the throne, and next to him, Rune is lying unconscious on the floor. He gets furious, thinking that Rune is hurt, but Zack tells him to stop being sentimental because she was just a tool to conquer this dungeon. He tells Yuk that he hated his party from the beginning because they are outsiders who don't even belong to this region. However, he also hates Yuk specifically because he is always surrounded by beautiful girls. All of Yuk's girls call Zack a jealous incel and tell him to get a life, which makes him even more angry, and he tells King Vorden to give them more power so they can beat the intruders in his palace. The king listens to him and activates the power of the One Gold, freaking Yuk out as he can't predict what is going to happen next. The king uses the power of the 1 gold and shares it with Zack's party using the golden rings. Yuk panics on seeing them wear the ring and asks if they are stupid to use something so dangerous. Zack mocks him, saying that he is just saying this because he realizes there is no way to win now. He says that the king taught them how to use the rings, and now they can feel the power surging inside them. Yuk feels Persephone's curse mark activating, as he realizes that Zack and his team are using the magic that grants wishes. He asks them if they don't know how dangerous that spell is, but Zack replies that he doesn't care. He orders his team to attack Yuk and his girls, and they immediately charge ahead. However, Yuk's party is also ready to fight. Silk shoots the healer in the knee, bringing him down, and then Neen uses her speed to knock down the wizard. Rain knocks down the thief using a basic spell, and Yuk paralyzes the tank. Zack is shocked to see his friends lose despite powering up, when suddenly, Marina breaks his sword, forcing him to run away. However, he suddenly feels a sharp pain in his body and falls to the ground. The power of the ring starts consuming him, and he begins turning into a monster. All his party members also get affected by the power of the rings and transform into monsters, and Yuk calls the girls back to rework their strategy. He tells them to be careful because their enemies are stronger and more unpredictable now. He then buffs them with his support spells, but that is not enough this time. Zack attacks Marina and pushes her back, but she immediately returns to fight him. On the other side, the fat monster chases after Silk like a total creep, and when her lightning arrows have no effect on it, she freaks out and keeps running. Rain fights against the priest, and even though she is able to damage him with her spells, he regenerates instantly. Meanwhile, Neen gets overwhelmed by the thief of the party, but luckily, Lucent arrives there just in time to protect her. He asks her what the update is, and she tells him about Zack's party using the rings to become monsters. Just then, Lucent's teammates as well as the other party arrive in the room, and he tells them that their job is to hold back the monsters while Yuk rescues Rune and stops the king. The two parties team up to take down the monsters, and Yuk tells his girls that they should rush to help Rune now. They run towards the throne, but King Vorden comes forward to face them. Marina dashes towards him as Yuk enchants her sword. She tries attacking the king with her full strength, but he easily blocks her attack and then pushes her back before hitting her with a powerful magic beam point blank. Marina somehow avoids taking any damage from the attack and charges at the king again. Yuk stacks all the debuffs he can at the king, slowing him down, and Marina manages to push him back. However, using such a great amount of spells puts a lot of stress on Yuk, and he starts bleeding. He tells Marina to keep attacking because he can't keep the king down for long. Suddenly, the snake spirit warns Silk about the king's next attack. She yells at Marina to dodge, but it is too late. The king stabs the ground with his spear, releasing a great burst of energy. Everyone runs away, but Marina gets caught in the attack's range. Silk and Neen keep the king busy with rapid attacks, while Marina gathers her strength back. Neen uses a fire-breathing technique as a smokescreen, and when the king clears the green fumes, he finds Marina dashing towards him. She uses her ultimate move to cut through his weapon and injure him, and Rain declares that she will deal the finishing blow. She begins chanting a tier 7 spell, and Yuk tells the rest of the girls to come back before the spell is activated. They rush to his side just as Rain unleashes her magic and engulfs the king's body in flames. Yuk uses a water spell to prevent the flames from reaching them, and Rain also holds back her power so that she doesn't accidentally burn her own party. Silk summons a water spirit to assist Yuk, who lowers down the water wall and uses a scroll to increase everyone's flame resistance. He then tells Rain that she should stop controlling her power, and she collapses right as she lets the spell work at its full strength. The flames around the king burn even brighter, and Yuk shields all his girls using his magic robe for a few seconds before the flames die down. He then turns around and finds that the king is still clinging on to life, but not for long. As he tries to take a step forward, the king turns into ash, and his ring falls on the ground. Rain is feeling really weak and exhausted now, so Yuk uses his special spell to recharge her mana and then also gives her some mana potions. He then decides to destroy the 1 gold, but Rune tells him to look at the ground. The king's ashes are gathering around the ring, and Yuk realizes that the 1 gold is trying to revive him. He quickly moves towards the ring and uses Persephone's power to break the ring, but that gives him a serious migraine. In the meantime, the remaining 2 parties have also finished dealing with the monsters, and they come upstairs to catch up with Yuk. They look at the 1 gold and say that once they destroy it, all will be over, but Yuk tells them that he has a feeling that they are missing something. the wizard of Lucen's party says that they should let Yuke handle the 1 gold because only a superior red mage like him can destroy it. Lucen says that if they can't help, they should not stay here and bother Yuke either, and the other party's leader agrees with him. She asks Rune to come with them because she must be tired, but she refuses, saying that she will stay back to help Yuke. She says that she is the golden priestess, so she can touch the 1 gold without getting hurt, and Yuke can also do that. However, the rest of them will be exposed to the effects of the twilight if they are present during the process, and they will lose their mind. Yuke agrees with her and says that even if things go wrong here, it will be for the best to reduce the number of victims. His girls take offense on hearing this, as they believe that Yuke is trying to sacrifice himself. While he tries to calm them down, Rain asks Rune if she is sure that they can't do anything to help. Rune tells her that Yuke is special so no one else can help him, and Rain realizes that is true. She suddenly hugs Yuke tightly, telling him that she will be waiting for him at home. Silk and Marina hug him too, but there's no space left for Neen, so she tells Yuke that she needs her hug when he gets back home safely. With that, everyone leaves the dungeon, leaving only Yuke and Rune behind. They walk towards the 1 gold and find Loj sitting on the throne. He tells Yuke that since his father is dead now, he is the official king. Yuke asks if he is going to fight him next, but Loj refuses, saying that now that the king, the priestess, and the mage are on the same side, it will finally be over. He explains that the 1 gold is the real cause of Twilight, and it has destroyed countless worlds before coming to this one, and once they destroy it, no world will face the same danger again. The 3 of them walk towards the treasure, and Loj wishes for a silent end. He then asks Yuke to use the great spell to destroy the 1 gold, and Rune supports him using the power of the Golden Priestess. While they are casting the spell, Yuke suddenly remembers how he used Persephone's power to modify his spell so that Simon would suffer for an eternity, and that makes him realize something he never thought of before. He realizes that the 1 gold is nothing but Simon, cursed to suffer for an eternity without dying. His body kept growing because it could not die, and then it transformed into the 1 gold, traveling through different worlds, sharing his curse of destruction with them. Yuke decides to put an end to Simon's misery and uses the spell to destroy the 1 gold, freeing him from the endless cycle of suffering. As soon as he uses the spell, the 1 gold shatters and the world inside the dungeon starts fading. Everything soon turns completely dark, and Yuke realizes that this dungeon was just an extension of the Infinite Darkness dungeon, which was trying to correct an anomaly within itself. Suddenly, Loj starts vanishing because now there is no need for him to exist in this world. He tells Yuke to take care of Rune for him, and then asks her to live her life freely because he and her parents have always wished for her happiness. He completely vanishes with that, and Yuke asks Rune to come with him because she is a member of his family. Meanwhile, in the real world, Yuke remains missing even days after everyone else returns from the dungeon. One day, the bald guy named Bran corners Rain on the streets again, and she immediately points her staff at him to tell him to go away. Bran is not scared of her this time because he knows her weakness. He asks Rain if she is looking for Yuke and says that he knows something that will help her find him. Rain is curious now, and Bran tells her about an artifact called Seeker's Compass that can detect the location of any object or person. The desperate Rain asks Bran how can she get it, and he tells her that the compass is with Prince Mastoma of Salmuteria, and he can take her to him so that she can negotiate about the compass directly. He tells her that if she succeeds in getting the prince on her good side without offending him, he will give her the compass, but for that, she needs to leave right now. Rain is unsure about that, but Bran tells her that nobles and royals don't have free time like peasants, and if she wants to meet a prince, she must come with him right now. He starts walking away, telling her that she is free to not trust him, but it won't be his fault if she keeps on waiting and Yuke's dead body turns up at the Adventurers Guild. Rain gives in to the emotional blackmail and agrees to go with Bran, and the fat bastard tells her that he knows she is worried about her friends, so she can write a letter to them which he will deliver later. Rain agrees to this, and Bran laughs to himself, thinking that he is finally going to get rich by selling the girl to Prince Mastoma. Meanwhile, Yuke is still struggling to get out of the Infinite Darkness dungeon with Rune on his back. He feels completely lost with his sense of time, distance, and direction being messed with the darkness all around him. Suddenly, he hears Rain's voice calling his name and sees a light in the distance. Yuke feels like this could be the exit, and he lifts Rune in his arms as he runs into the light. The next moment, they both find themselves underwater, and Yuke grabs Rune's arm as he carries her to the surface. They are both exhausted and drenched once they reach the ground, and Yuk starts a fire to warm themselves up. He looks around and figures out that they are not far from the dungeon, and tells Rune that once their clothes are dried, they will start searching for a road that will lead them to the nearby city. They reach their inn by sunset, and the manager immediately alerts the girls as she sees Yuk coming. Marina and Silk run outside and hug Yuk tightly. They begin telling him how worried they were with teary eyes, and Yuk tells them that they are overreacting. Marina yells at him that he has been missing for 2 weeks now, and that shocks Yuk because he thought he was in the dungeon for just half a day. He suddenly realizes that time is too distorted inside the Infinite Darkness dungeon, and he was lucky that only 2 weeks passed outside because it could have been thousands of years as well. He immediately hugs the girls and apologizes for worrying them, and they start crying. After that, they go to check up on Rune, and Yuk thanks the manager for taking care of his girls in his absence. He then asks where are Rain and Neen, and everyone suddenly gets cautious. Marina and the manager take Rune inside immediately, and Yuk asks Silk if something happened. Silk nervously tells him that Rain has been missing for 2 days, and they just received a letter from her. In the letter, she writes that she is going to find Yuk and asks her friends not to worry about her. Yuk asks who delivered the letter, and when he learns that it was a servant of the guy called Bran, he gets a bad feeling about it. Silk tells him that the servant said that Rain is not coming back, and if they want to see her, they should come to Prince Mastoma's mansion in the city. She says that they were clueless about what to do without him, but Yuk comforts her, telling her that he is here now and he will handle everything. He decides to go and bring Rain back immediately, and Silk says that he should get some rest first. He replies that he will rest after bringing his best girl back, and Silk informs him that Neen has gone ahead to scout the area, so he should meet up with her there. Yuk then runs to the city, and when he reaches the prince's mansion, Neen jumps behind him, telling him that she is glad to see him after 2 weeks. Yuk pats her head and then asks where should they break in from, but she replies that the security is equally tight everywhere. Yuk replies that they will just have to walk through the main gate then, but they don't even need to fight because the guards let him in. Yuk immediately goes to meet Prince Mastoma, who asks him what is he here for. He replies that he is here to take Rain back, and the prince acts offended at this because Yuk makes it sound like he stole something from him. He says that Rain came to see him herself, and before Yuk can say anything in response, a woman brings Rain to the room. As soon as Rain sees Yuk, she runs into his arms. They hug each other tightly, and Mastoma laughs, telling Rain that it looks like she won the bet after all. Yuk turns to the prince to ask what he means, and he replies that Rain made an outrageous bet with him. She promised to marry him if Yuk was dead, but since he is not, he cannot put his hands on her. Yuk is shocked to hear this and asks Rain how she could do this, and she replies that she had full faith that he would return alive. Mastoma says that it is his loss, but he will accept it according to the laws of his country. Just then, Bran barges into the room because someone told him that he is not getting paid. He is about to confront Mastoma, but then he sees Yuk alive and wets his pants. Mastoma tells Bran that he tried to trick him, and he will not be forgiven for that. Bran nervously tells him that he didn't lie to him, but Mastoma reveals that Rain told him about her marriage with Yuk, and he got the public records checked to verify it. He says that Rain is Yuk's property according to his country's law, and more importantly, Yuk is an rank adventurer who has the title of the hero. Bran is taken aback to hear this, but Mastoma says that since Yuk is the hero, he is officially the property of the king of this nation. The prince accuses the bald bastard of trying to scam him by selling something that wasn't his. He orders his soldiers to throw the bastard in jail, and Bran keeps screaming that he didn't know anything about this. After that, Mastoma apologizes to Yuk for the trouble, and he kneels down, thanking him for keeping Rain safe. Once that is done, Mastoma sighs, saying that he is in trouble now, and Rain replies that Yuk can help. Mastoma begins telling Yuk that currently, the princes are fighting to become the next king of Salmuteria, and he needs to have an achievement under his belt to increase his chances. He wants to conquer a dungeon for that, but the world knows that there are no dungeons in Salmuteria. Yuk says that he has heard about that as well, and Mastoma reveals that there is actually a dungeon in his country, but it has always been kept a secret. Yuk panics on hearing such a big secret of another country, but Mastoma tells him that he wants to conquer that dungeon. He adds that there are no true adventurers in his country, and Yuk realizes that he wanted Rain mainly to do adventuring for him. Mastoma tells him that he believes that there is a legendary treasure called the Staff of Kingship in the dungeon. and if he can get it, he will definitely become the king. He explains that currently, the next king of Salmuteria is decided based on achievements, but 12 generations ago, the staff of kingship used to decide it. The staff went missing at the same time when the dungeon was sealed, and Mastoma is sure that it is inside it. He tells Yuke that this was the real reason he wanted Rain and other girls, but Rain tells him that there wouldn't be any trust between them even if he got them on his side. Mastoma is confused by this because he knows that the girls of Clover are quite loyal to Yuke, and Rain replies that it is because they like him. Just then, Mastoma's wife tells him that women in this country have a thing called rights, and he should have listened to him earlier because she told him about this a lot of times. Mastoma stays silent in front of his wife despite all the talk about her being his property, and Yuke just chuckles at this. This irritates Mastoma, and he tells him to laugh while he can because sooner or later, he is going to end up in the same position as him. After that, Yuke and Rain go outside, and they send Neen to the inn to inform everyone about what happened. Yuke and Rain hold hands as they walk home and apologize for worrying the other. Rain tells Yuke that she went to the prince to borrow the Seeker's compass to find his location, but she felt that he couldn't find his way out, so she used her magic to give him a signal. Yuke thanks her for saving his ass back in the dungeon, and then Rain tells him that she made the bet with Prince Mastoma because she was sure that he was alive. She says that since Mastoma agreed to her bet, she believes he is different from other Salmutarians, and she wants to find a way to help him. Yuke says they will do so once they get home, but once they reach home, they find Maniela and others waiting for them. Yuke gets hit by the old hag for making everyone worried, and then the director tells him to rest first and tell him the details of what happened in the dungeon the next morning. Yuke tells him that he will start compiling a report right away, and everyone lets out a collective sigh because they are worried about his workaholic behavior. The director and others tell the girls to make sure that Yuke takes a full rest even if they have to use force, and all of them promise to do that. Once they leave, Yuke and the girls have a hearty dinner. Silk then asks Neen to take Rune to her bed, and orders Marina to take Yuke to the hot springs and watch over him so he doesn't start working. Rain decides to go with them too, but Silk stops her because she plans to lecture her about her reckless act. 1 week after Yuke's return, he finally visits Maniela and others along with Silk to submit his report on the dungeon. The old hag is impressed by the stack of papers on her desk that is thicker than her, and she tells Yuke that he did an impressive job compiling it. Yuke says that he couldn't do it without the help of his girls, but Silk says that all they did was make sure that he wasn't overworking himself. The higher-ups laugh at this, and then the director says that the new dimension that Yuke and Rune discovered will be listed in the Imperial records and he will get full credit for it. Maniela adds that the director took care of the matter with Rain's biological family as well, because it is better if nobles handled the problems caused by other nobles. The director says that there were a lot of nasty rumors about Count Crowder in the past as well, but now that they have solid proof, he reported him to the king. Yuke is surprised to hear that, and the director asks him who else would he report to if not the king. Yuke still finds it hard to believe that the concerns of lowly adventurers like him reach the king. Well, the director tells him to stop underestimating himself because his party is more popular than he thinks. He says that even the king watches their live streams, and he was really pleased that they completed both the missions they were given by him. Both Yuke and Silk are surprised to hear that the king is a fan. And then the director tells them that they also received a letter from Prince Mastoma of Salmuteria. The prince has taken Count Crowder into custody, and he will be punished according to the rules of Salmuteria. Maniela says that they owe Mastoma big time for this favor, and also for lending them the Seeker's compass, and Yuke tries to tell them about the dungeon in his country. Maniela already knows about it, and Yuke says that he trusts Mastoma and wants to help him in some way. The old hag agrees with him, and the director also says that they will think about how to proceed with this request because it is quite high profile. After that, the director asks Yuke about Rune's future, because he had offered to take her in as a guest from another world. Yuke says that he told Rune about his offer, but he also told her that everyone in Clover wants her to stay with them and be a part of their party. He asked her to choose whatever she likes more because he will support her no matter what, and Rune told him that she wants to stay with him and the girls. So Yuke tells the director that Rune is a part of the Clover family now, and he is glad to hear that too. After that, Maniela asks him when do they plan to return home, and Silk says that they have to make preparations for that, and even before that, they have to thank everyone who helped them. She says that they plan to meet with the two parties that helped them the most during the mission, and hopefully they can learn a lot of things from their vast experience. Manuela tells them that it won't be possible because both the parties have already left on their new missions. Yuke and Silk are a bit disappointed to hear that, but the grown-ups tell them that as long as they keep being adventurers, they will run into each other eventually. With that, the director says that he and the researchers will head back to the city first. He thanks Yuke for everything he did during the mission, and says that he is truly the hero who saved this world. Yuke shakes his hand, thanking him for taking care of his party. Yuke and Silk head home after that, and Silk says that they need to do some shopping tomorrow. Yuke volunteers to carry the luggage, but Silk sighs and tells him that she has Marina, Rune, and Rain for that. She reminds Yuke about his promise to spend some quality time alone with Neen when she couldn't hug him in the castle. Yuke remembers that now, and Silk tells him that the poor furry has been waiting eagerly for her quality time with him. Yuke gets that, but he doesn't know what to do with the time, and Silk tells him that anything is fine as long as she is having fun. That night, Yuke goes to Neen's room and tells her to think about what she wants to do tomorrow. He says that they should have a lot of fun and do everything she wants, and Neen is on the moon after hearing that. The first thing on Neen's list is drinking in daytime, and she says that she is going to make a lot of selfish demands today. Yuke tells her to go on, and Neen says that they should visit the other part of the market where adventure-related items are not sold. Yuke likes the idea because they can see a lot of new items from different places there, and he decides to take Neen shopping. As they walk towards the market, Neen grabs Yuke's arm, and he gets a little shy. They soon reach the market, which is full of all sorts of fashion items like see-through shirts, glowing earrings, and edible lipsticks. Neen grabs Yuke's hand and starts dragging him along, but all she does is stare at the items from outside the store. Yuke tells her that he will buy anything she wants, but she tells him that she is a strong, independent woman who can pay her own bills. Yuke tells her that there is no need to act strong with him, and asks her to let him buy something to thank her. Neen takes his offer, but she still can't make up her mind, so Yuke tells her to be whimsy and selfish at least for today. He says that he will indulge all her demands and asks her to be free, and Neen tells him not to call her a gold digger if he goes bankrupt later. With that, she grabs his hand again and pulls him into the nearest shop, saying that she has time until sunset to make him listen to all her requests. A couple days later, Yuke and his party are ready to leave, and everyone comes to see them off. Yuke thanks Manuela and the elf innkeeper for taking care of them. She tells them to visit her again, and the girls promise that they will come again because of the hot springs. Once they have said their goodbyes, Yuke says it is time for them to go home, and they ride a carriage back to their home city. On the way, Marina teaches Rune how to handle the horses, and everyone has a lot of fun enjoying jolly dinners and watching the beautiful scenery. They finally return to their city after traveling for 2 weeks. All of them are excited to be back home, but they were not expecting their fans to gather on the streets to welcome them. They are equally surprised and happy about this, and after greeting their fans, Yuke decides to visit the guild to report to the guildmaster. He sends the girls ahead as he enters the guild, where the receptionist Mammer welcomes him with a bright smile. Yuke thanks her for helping with Rain's problems, but Mammer shushes him, saying that someone might overhear their conversation, and that can create problems later. However, she gladly accepts his thanks and says that she is looking forward to see how he repays her for it. After that, Yuke goes to the guildmaster's office, but he has already heard everything from Manuela. Yuke asks if he also received a report about Prince Mastoma, and the guildmaster affirms. He says that they have already started the process to help him, but it will take some time. He asks Yuke to be patient about it, and then moves on to his reward for completing the mission. The guildmaster says that he will deposit the amount in Clover Party's account later, because it is too huge of an amount to be given out in cash. He keeps hyping Yuke up, telling him not to faint when he sees the amount when suddenly, Jamie barges into the room. She immediately rushes to Yuke's side and begins checking if he is fine. He asks her to stop, but the guildmaster asks him to let the girl smother him for a bit because she was really worried when she heard that he disappeared in the dungeon. The old man then starts mimicking how Jamie cried that she was going to save Yuke, and she gets embarrassed about that. Yuke thanks Jamie for worrying about him, and she replies that she was only worried that she won't get the medicine for her brother if he died. Well, the guildmaster rats out that tsundere immediately, mimicking her again and revealing how she declared that she will be the one to save Yuke once she can go on adventures again. Jamie lashes at the old guy, but he just laughs because she never told him to keep it a secret. Yuke and Jamie also start laughing, and then she tells him that she managed the Clover House with the real estate agent's help while he was away, and the kitchen is fully stocked right now. Yuke thanks her and then tells her that they will have a party soon to celebrate their successful mission. The guildmaster decides to invite himself to drink some free booze, and Yuke can't say no to him. On the other hand, the girls reach their house where the real estate agent tells them that he fixed a couple of loose doors and leaky taps while they were away, and he also remodeled a room to make it more comfortable for Rune. The girls thank him for looking after their house, and he leaves them to rest. Rune gets really happy that she is going to live here, and just then Yuke returns too. He gathers the girls to give them an important message, saying that they did great on the mission, and now they should rest for a few days before picking up any mission. The girls agree but remind Yuke that he is the one who needs to rest the most. Later, Yuke goes to the rooftop to watch the sunset in silence, but Rain comes there because she can tell that his mind is full of thoughts. He admits that he can't stop thinking about what they should do next, and Rain says this is why one of them needs to babysit him at all times. She then holds his hand and tells him that he is amazing and how he makes everyone around them want to be better. A couple days later, Guildmaster Benwood pays Yuke a visit early in the morning with a mysterious guest, saying that they have some urgent business with him. Yuke welcomes them both in and offers to take the guest's coat. The man thanks him for that, but as soon as he removes his hood, Yuke kneels on the ground because the strange guest is none other than the king. King Vincent tells Yuke to rise up because he is undercover today and there is no need for any formality. Yuke finds it hard to agree to that order, but Benwood also tells him to loosen up, because the king was like his uncle Saga's little brother, which makes them like family too. Anyway, they sit down to talk and Silk comes with tea for their guests. As soon as she sees the king, she freezes in shock, and Yuke tells her that it is a completely understandable reaction. He goes to help her, and then King Vincent tells Silk that he wants her to be a part of their conversation as well because she is the vice leader of the Clover Party. Silk somehow snaps out of her shocked state, and then sits down next to Yuke. Vincent immediately gets to point and tells Yuke that they have been discussing his suggestion to help Prince Mastoma clear the dungeon in his country. He says that Mastoma also sent him a letter about the same, and he has decided to help him. Yuke thanks Vincent for that, and in response he takes out a small wooden box from his pocket and places it on the table. He tells Yuke that this is the advance payment for his next quest and urges him to open it. Yuke finds a silver brooch with a green gemstone inside the box, which leaves him completely speechless. King Vincent suddenly starts clapping for him, congratulating him for becoming a noble of this kingdom. Benwood also congratulates Yuke, saying that now he is also a dungeon count like him. Silk is still trying to figure out what is happening, and Benwood explains that only the adventurers who have greatest accomplishments in dungeon exploring are given the title of a noble, and now Yuke is one of them. Yuke still can't believe that he has been given the highest possible honor for an adventurer, and he tries to return the brooch, but the king tells him that they don't do that here. He then tells Yuke that he has already talked with the parliament, and they have agreed to send an adventurer party to the dungeon in Salmuteria. The king believes that the new dungeon that Yuke just cleared might have affected the Salmuteria dungeon in some way, and they can't afford to ignore something like that. He says that they are considering the first attempt at exploring the dungeon as a trial, and then lays out some documents on the table. As Yuke reads the documents, he finds that they are about the trials of various streaming devices, and even setting up a temporary adventurer guild in Salmuteria to strengthen the relationship between the two nations. Vincent and Benwood tell him that they could not let him take on Mastoma's request personally because it would create many political problems. That is why they decided to make it a joint operation between the two kingdoms. Vincent adds that the timing was just right for it because Salmuteria had approached their kingdom with an interest in the streaming technology they use. However, if the trials start with a huge scale right off the bat, that may create some problems as well, and therefore, they are going to start it in a remote village under Mastoma's supervision. Vincent explains that the trials will be done in an area called the Death Valley, but since there is no established city there, Mastoma is creating one right now on his request. That means Yuke and his party have to wait for at least 6 months before entering Salmuteria. Vincent says that they have already sent the streaming technology and technicians there to set up the groundwork before the adventurers reach there, but he has one last thing for Yuke. He hands him a letter, and just as Yuke opens it, he stands up from his seat because the letter is a direct order from the king himself. Yuke tells Vincent that he will take the mission, but for that, he wants 6 more of the brooches as his advance payment. The king immediately accepts his demands, and then Yuk signs the contract. A few months later, Yuk and his party gather at a port to ride one of the 3 flying airships in the world. While everyone stares at the magic airship like a kid, Silk turns into a conspiracy theorist who says that something this big can never fly. As Yuk tries to calm her down, Benwood and the receptionist arrive there to bid them farewell. Turns out Benwood is also coming with them to explore the dungeon, and Yuk says that the receptionist Mammer would be more helpful with her skill set. However, Benwood tells them that in case a monster stampede occurs, he will be their best bet. Mammer then gives Yuk the advance payment he asked from the king, and the girls curiously come close to see what is it. Yuk distributes the brooches to all of them, reminding Marina that she asked him to make something matching for all of them, and the king was nice enough to send them some matching jewelry. He gives one to Jamie too, and she is nervous about accepting it because she is not allowed to return to being an adventurer yet. As Benwood hears this, he gives her a letter from the king himself that states that Jamie has been pardoned for her crimes and she can resume adventuring right away. Marina immediately hugs her, and then the other girls also surround her because they are excited about their first adventure with Jamie. She gets emotional on receiving such a response and promises Yuk that she will do her best to support him. Mammer tells her not to worry about her brother because she will take care of him, and Jamie thanks her before boarding the ship with the rest of her party. While everyone says bye to Mammer, Silk tightly clings to Yuk because she is terrified of riding a flying ship. As the ship sails off, Yuk asks her to open her eyes because this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Silk still doesn't have enough courage to open her eyes, and then the captain gives the order to launch the ship into the air. As soon as he says the words, the ship's magic channel is activated, and it springs into the sky, gently floating ahead. Soon after that, Silk also calms down, and as she joins the girls to see the view, the researcher Bodeman comes to see Yuk. Yuk says that he didn't know Bodeman would be with them too, and he replies that he is in charge of setting up the streaming devices. Yuk offers to help him with that, and Bodeman is glad to accept his offer. He then says that the king made quite a bold decision this time, and Rain asks the guys what they are talking about. Yuk explains that King Vincent is supporting Mastoma, which means he is backing him as the candidate to become Salmuteria's next king. However, in case Mastoma loses and someone else becomes the king, it may harm the relationship between the 2 countries. Bodeman says that it all depends on Yuk now, and then tells everyone to have a fun time in Salmuteria. Later that night, Yuk goes to the room where all the girls are staying and tells them that there is something they might need to know about the brooch. He nervously says that while they are a matching accessory for the Clover Party, they also mean that all the girls are his property. He tries to explain it so that he doesn't sound like a misogynist piece of shit, and says that in Salmuteria, women are considered to be the property of men. He says that the brooches will tell everyone that they belong to him, and the men in Salmuteria will not mess with them. He asks them to bear with it, even if the idea disgusts them, but the girls have no problem at all. Rune suddenly asks if this means that they are all Yuk's wives, and the other girls jump on the bandwagon without wasting any time. Yuk, however, gets flustered and tells them that they can refuse if they want, and the girls pity him because he doesn't realize that all of them will let him put a baby in them right now. However, they don't tell him their true intentions as well, so it is also their fault that he is so clueless. Rain then asks Yuk if they should call him darling since they are pretending to be married, and his incel heart almost gives out on hearing that. He asks everyone to call him normally because doing something they are not comfortable with can be problematic. Suddenly, Min raises her hand because she has a question too. She asks Yuk who is going to be his head wife, because in Salmuteria, every guy with a harem has a head wife who is basically the boss of the harem. Yuk thinks about it for a while, and then names Rain as his head wife because she has already met Prince Mastoma, and she knows the full story of this mission. Everyone else also agrees to the suggestion, and then Yuk decides to leave for his room. Marina teases him, asking if he wants to sleep with his wives tonight, and the flustered Yuk leaves in a hurry. As he is walking back to his room, Rain runs after him, asking if he was being considerate of him just now. Yuk affirms, saying that they can't just tell everyone else that she is a noble by blood and they are already legally married. Rain understands his point, but she tells him that their bond is a special one, and he doesn't need to force himself to do anything he doesn't want. He pats her head, saying that he wanted to do it for her, and Rain hugs him, telling him that he can be more unguarded around her. A few days later, their ship finally reaches Salmuteria, and as Yuk watches over the landscape with Benwood and Bodeman, They say that they will probably camp at the landing site for tonight. Benwood says that even though Prince Mastoma promised to send someone to escort them to the city, they will probably not travel during the night, and Bodeman hopes that is true. Just then, the alarm rings and the ship's captain orders the crew to prepare for landing. As they go down the clouds, Yuke gets really excited about what he is going to see in the Salmuteria Kingdom. But the first thing they come across after landing is a gang of vicious bandits. Yuke remarks that the timing of the bandits is quite suspicious, as if they already knew about them. Benwood agrees with him too, and he cracks his knuckles, saying that they should beat up the bandits to learn who sent them here. Yuke and his girls also draw their weapons to fight, and then the bandits charge at them furiously. Soon after they are done beating the bandits, Mastoma arrives there personally to welcome Yuke's team. As Yuke kneels to greet him, Mastoma says that the bridge leading to this place was badly damaged, so he had to arrange for a boat, and they got late because of that. He then asks Yuke to get up because he doesn't want any formality between them, and says that they should talk as equals. Yuke nervously says that he can't do that, but Mastoma simply lifts him up, refusing his refusal. He then thanks him for his efforts in convincing the king of Welmelia to explore the dungeon, but Yuke says that he is just repaying the favor. With that, they turn their attention to the captured bandits, and Yuke asks the prince if he knows anything about them. He replies that they might have been sent by his elder brother Rafuma, who is really desperate to win the battle for the crown. Mastoma talks about how his brother has tried to kill him many times before, but he always survived and beat him at his own game. He orders his men to take the bandits away and start interrogating them, and then warns Yuke to be more careful from now on. Yuke asks him if he can tell Benwood and others about Prince Rafuma being behind the attack, and Mastoma has no problem. After that, Mastoma again returns to the topic of Yuke being too formal with him. But then his wife steps in and translates what he actually means. She tells Yuke that her husband wants to be friends with him, and then tells Mastoma that he needs to be the one to initiate things given the power dynamics between them. Mastoma takes her advice seriously and immediately gets chummy with Yuke, telling him to call him by his name. Yuke panics, wondering how he should react to this situation, but just then Rain comes there and tells him to take Mastoma's offer. Rain starts catching up with Mastoma and his wife Marge, and after that Marge asks Yuke to be friends with her husband because she finds him quite cute when he makes an effort to connect with other people. After being pressured so many times, Yuke finally folds and agrees to be friends with Mastoma despite the difference in their status. With that, Mastoma tells Yuke that they should depart to the town called Rajo he built for them. Rain realizes that the word Rajo means hope in Salmutarian, and Mastoma tells her that Yuke's party is the hope for this country's new future. It takes them 2 days to reach the mountain town of Rajo, and they receive a grand welcome from the people living there. Everyone is amazed to see a town carved out of a mountain, and Mastoma feels proud on hearing them praise him. Soon after that, they reach the adventurer guild of the town, and Mastoma tells Benwood and Yuke to tell him if they need anything. Benwood immediately takes the offer and tells him to bring him the finest alcohol he has, and Mastoma is happy to fulfill his request. The two of them seem to hit it off immediately, but Yuke remains nervous the entire time. Next, Mastoma takes Yuke and his girls to a big and luxurious mansion, but Yuke asks him what is this for. Mastoma sighs and calls him an idiot sandwich for not realizing it, and then reveals that this is going to be the personal mansion of the ambassador of the Welmelian adventurers, and that is none other than Yuke. Everyone freaks out on hearing that, and only after that they notice that a banner with Yuke's name and title was hanging over the building all along. He says that this is too much for him, but Mastoma tells him that he needs to show off a little, because he is not just an ordinary person. He reminds Yuke that he is a noble from another country with 5 wives, and an adventurer with the title of hero. On top of that, he is also the friend of a prince of Salmuteria, and if he stays in a cheap place, some people will start talking shit about him behind his back. Yuke realizes that Mastoma wants to show his country that he is serious by giving this mansion to him as a gift, and he decides to accept it. At night, Yuke and Silk sit on a bench behind the mansion, sipping wine while staring at the night sky. Silk says that she was really thrilled earlier, but now she is feeling quite calm. Yuke tells her that they need to wait till the guild building is completely functional to proceed with their mission, but he doesn't want to sit idly. Silk suggests that they should check the market tomorrow to see the type of stuff they sell here. Yuke agrees with her and says that after that, they should learn more about the geography of this place and the type of monsters found nearby. Silk says that Mastoma told them that he knows the way to the dungeon, and they should check it out in advance as well. Yuk then asks her where the other girls are, and Silk replies that they fell asleep as soon as they hit the soft beds. Yuk then starts talking about the stars, and Silk tells him that the night sky looks different in her hometown. Yuk is curious if Silk misses her home, and she replies that she doesn't really miss it because she has him and the other girls here, but she feels nostalgic sometimes. She says that she wants to go there soon, and Yuk says that he wants to see the place too. Silk tells him that humans are not really welcome there, but she will try to get him a pass once they complete this mission. A couple days after that, the work at the guild building is finished, and Mastoma tells Yuk's party about the dungeon. He says that they have to pass through a place called the Death Valley to reach the dungeon, which serves as the tomb for one of his ancestors. Yuk says that his party will immediately start exploring Death Valley while clearing a way to the museum. Bodman says that he will continue working on setting up the streaming devices because they need some more work, and Benwood adds that he is too busy conducting background checks on the people from Salmuteria who have applied to become an adventurer. He asks Yuk to lend Jamie to him because she helped at the guild for 6 months and has some experience with handling the paperwork. Since Jamie is fine with it, Yuk gives his permission to let her work at the guild, and he also tells Rune to stay behind and help Jamie till they need her help out in the field. Soon after that, Yuk leads his party into Death Valley, and he immediately realizes how it got its name. There are monsters everywhere, and some of them have already died because of heat and dehydration. The layout of the valley is really confusing as well, and there are no areas that are marked safe from monsters. As Yuk tries to make sense of the map, Silk warns him that something is wrong with this place because the spirit energy is really off here. That means that the Death Valley is an unstable place, and Yuk thinks that it is because of the dungeon disturbing the spirit energy. He fears that there might be a dungeon overflow or a stampede at this rate, and suddenly, the curse mark on his face activates. Rain asks him what should they do if the seal on the dungeon has worn off, and Yuk replies that they will have to inform Mastoma first before taking any action. However, he decides to continue investigating till they have solid proof and tells the girls that they are going to be camping here tonight. At night, Yuk's curse mark starts acting up even more, and he feels like it is reacting to something in the direction where the royal tomb is. Rain tells him that she can also feel something is off, and just then, Silk calls them both to discuss their plans for the next day. Everyone gathers around the fire as Yuk tells them that the goal for tomorrow is to reach the royal tomb, when suddenly, a sharp wind blows and everyone gets alert. They get up and draw their weapons because they sensed a strong monster nearby, and then Yuk's curse mark starts hurting. The girls are also scared because the presence they felt was unlike anything they have experienced before, but Yuk asks them to calm down. He tells Neen to scout the surroundings and find what is wrong without putting herself in danger, and she soon returns with shocking news. She reveals that there is a group of 20 monsters heading towards them from the east. And what is even more surprising is that there are different types of monsters in the group. Yuk panics on hearing that because it means the situation is as serious as a dungeon stampede, because normally, only a single type of monsters come out of a dungeon. He then asks Silk if they can get back to Rajo before the sun rises, and she tells him that though it will be hard and risky, it is possible. Yuk decides to take that risk because reaching the town and informing everyone comes first. He puts out the fire and tells the girls to be on high alert as they run because they don't know what kind of monsters they are facing, and the night doesn't work in their favor as well. He then boosts their physical abilities so that they can run faster, and just a few minutes later, they run into some dino monsters. Luckily, Neen senses them in time and Yuk puts them to sleep with his magic, giving Marina the chance to finish them off. They resume running with that. And then Silk tells Yuk that the dungeon is definitely affecting this place, and the problem might be even more serious than a stampede. Yuk agrees with her, and says that they need to do something about it soon, because at this rate, the dungeon may create problems for the whole of Salmuteria. Just then, Rain asks everyone to stop because she found a shortcut. Neen tells her that there is no shortcut, but Rain points at the cliff in front of them, saying that they just need to go down, so they shouldn't waste time by using the route they took to climb up. She uses a spell to slow down their falling speed, and just as she finishes casting it, the group of monsters approaches them from behind. Everyone jumps down the cliff before the monsters can reach them, and they land safely thanks to Rain's spell. Yuk recharges her mana and Rain tells him that she knows a couple more shortcuts that can make their work easy. They start running again, but soon another group of monsters comes in their way. Thanks to Neen's directions, Marina, Silk, and Yuk manage to take the monsters down immediately, and then they resume running. They reach the town before sunrise, and while everyone else is tired and goes to sleep, Yuk and Silk call a meeting with Mastoma and others. They give a detailed report of what happened, and Bodman checks the recordings to confirm that a dungeon stampede is going to start soon. Mastoma gets worried on hearing all this, and he asks everyone how do they handle such situations in their country. Benwood tells him that they send multiple adventurer parties to reduce the number of the monsters and find the cause of the stampede, and Bodman adds that they sometimes send the knights as well. Unfortunately, Salmuteria doesn't have either of them, and he asks Benwood if he can just call some adventurers from Welmelia to help him. Benwood says that it is possible, but it will cost a lot, and more than that, it will create a lot of problems politically. Mastoma says that he will talk to his father about it immediately because it is a matter of national importance now, and that surprises Yuk because only Mastoma knows about the dungeon, and now he is willing to make the information public. Mastoma tells him that he doesn't care if his brothers take an interest in conquering the dungeon as well, because now it is a matter of national security, and he must protect his people before thinking of anything else. He then bows down before Yuk and others, telling them that he can't do much right now because he is not the king, but he wants to save his country, and for that, he is willing to beg for their help. Benwood tells him that he will immediately start the process, and then Yuk promises him that he will do everything he can to help him. Soon, the paperwork and other formalities for sending adventurers from Welmelia to Salmuteria are completed thanks to Mastoma's efforts. However, Benwood tells him that they need at least 1 month to gather their strongest adventurers and send them over by the flying ship, and sending the full force will take even longer. Mastoma says that it is too long, and Yuk says that they just have to fend off the monsters with the forces they have till then. Benwood tells Yuk that it will be too difficult for his party alone, and he will join them. But even then, it might not be enough. He asks Mastoma when can the armed forces of Salmuteria join them, and learns that he has summoned the common soldiers, knights, and some monster-hunting families for the task. But they are moving quite slowly, possibly because of the interference of his elder brother. Yuk confirms that their supply chain is not broken yet and tells Mastoma that he needs to order some new things. He asks Bodman for help, and he suggests that they should place some traps along the way for monsters. He says that Salmuteria is rich in artifacts and their knowledge, and they should use them to fight against the monsters because that way, they will suffer less casualties. Yuk seems to want to say something, but he hesitates because he doesn't agree with his plan himself. Benwood tells him to spit it out anyway, and Yuk suggests that after using artifacts to reduce the number of the monsters, the Clover Party can quickly raid the dungeon and try to clear it. However, he thinks that it will practically be a suicide mission because they know nothing about the dungeon. Benwood thinks that it is a good idea, and that starts a debate between him and Yuk. In the end, Yuk says that he can't put his friends in danger, and Benwood doesn't object to that. But he says that if anyone can solve this problem before a full-blown dungeon stampede starts, it is the Clover Party. Soon, Yuk returns to his mansion, where Silk tells him that they had a discussion about the situation too, and she believes that attacking the dungeon quickly is their best course of action. Yuk tries to convince them that it is too dangerous, but Silk says that Rune told her something concerning the dungeon. Yuk asks her what it was, and Rune says that the area outside the dungeon felt strange, almost as if its layers were being peeled away like an onion to reveal its true form. Rain says that those layers must be the seals that were placed on the dungeon, and now they have been broken. Yuk soon comes to the conclusion that the reason behind the seals being broken is what happened at the previous dungeon. Rune also seems to agree with him, and Yuk decides to ask the girls what they want. He turns to Marina first, and she tells him that she will simply follow whatever decision he makes. Silk says that the rest of the girls are thinking the same thing, and then Jamie asks Yuk if he plans to run away from this situation. She tells him that she will stay behind with Benwood to protect the base, and Yuk is surprised that she is not coming with them. Jamie says that she has not had any practice in months, so she might not be good in the dungeon, but she can at least defend the city. She asks Yuk to think carefully and make the decision because everyone will follow him no matter what he decides. Everyone gathers around him, and that gives Yuk the courage to declare that they will launch a quick attack on the dungeon before things can get worse. The next day, they call a meeting and Yuk explains that they have 3 things to do on their mission to conquer the dungeon. The first thing is to set up the transmission network so that the live stream video from the dungeon can be shared to the base without a problem. Bodman thanks them for taking on this job when it is supposed to be his responsibility, and Silk says that the Valley of Death is too dangerous for non-combat normies like him. Their next mission is to find the best route to enter the dungeon and do a check of the live stream network, and Silk says that they plan to do both of them at once. Yuk adds that if they can find the entry point and the video reaches the city, they will move on to the third part of their mission, which is to conquer the dungeon. Benwood and others tell him that they will handle any monsters that escape during the stampede, and then Yuk asks if anyone has any questions. Rune raises her hand, asking Yuk to take her along. The girls try to tell her that the valley is really dangerous, but Rune says that since she is the Golden Priestess, she can sense distortion in space and time, and if she gets close to the dungeon, she might be able to figure out something. She tells Yuk that there is a lot of distortion in the dungeon here, even though it is not the same as the Golden City. She can't tell anything more than that right now, so everyone decides to let her come along. They set out on the mission the next day, and Yuk and Rain set up the artifacts to transmit the livestream. Yuk gets exhausted pretty quickly because he didn't expect it to be so hard doing something technical, and Silk tells him that he doesn't have to force himself. However, he assures her that he is fine and says that they will camp at the place where they stayed last time. He then goes to talk to Marina, who tells Yuk that she is feeling really anxious for some reason. Yuk hugs her to comfort her, but then suddenly, he starts feeling unwell. He falls to his knees and the girls immediately surround him. Rain realizes that his mana is disbalanced, and she helps him regain control by making him take deep breaths. Just then, Neen comes there running with an urgent news, and Yuk buffs everyone so that they can see what she found. Neen takes them to a cliff from where they can see a giant dark sphere located in the same direction as the dungeon. Yuk starts feeling uneasy after seeing it, and the curse mark on his face appears. He feels like he has seen the dark bubble somewhere else, but he can't remember where. He decides that the dark bubble is really dangerous, and they need to get away from this region immediately. He asks Silk to summon her snake spirit to learn if there is any danger here, and then tells Rune to climb on his back because they need to run. They reach at dawn, and everyone feels more relieved physically and mentally. Yuk says that they found something really interesting today, but now they have no means to launch a quick attack on the dungeon to conquer it. He thinks that they won't be able to break through the dark bubble and decides that informing Mastoma and Benwood comes first. As the sun rises, they reach the main city, and Yuk finds everyone in a state of panic. He asks a guard what happened, and learns that Prince Rafuma has arrived in the city, and he wants to seize control of the city as well as the broadcasting artifacts here. Yuk immediately decides to intervene in the matter and goes to Mastoma's office, and he can hear the two princes yelling at each other all the way from the corridor. He takes a deep breath as he opens the door, and then introduces himself to Rafuma, who mocks him for being just a king. Mastoma asks Yuk to ignore the fat bastard and give his report, and Yuk tells him about the big black barrier that is surrounding the dungeon. He says that the barrier is radiating a dark and tense energy that has made the monsters go crazy, and at this rate, a dungeon raid is out of the question. Mastoma asks Yuk more about the barrier, but he has no idea what it is. Just then, Rune arrives there in her Golden Priestess form and says that the Black Barrier is actually this world's outer sea. She explains that every world is like a bubble floating in a sea of darkness. Mastoma has heard about the multiverse theory, and he asks Rune if the Sea of Darkness is flowing into this world. Rune tells him that it is something else entirely, because it appears that this world has become an inverted dungeon. She says that soon, this world will be covered by complete darkness like the one she and Yuk experienced in the past, and they need to clear the dungeon before that. While Yuk and Mastoma are worried about this, Rafuma thinks that it is just a pile of He tells Yuk to leave his country because the problem started the moment he came here, but Mastoma tells him to go away if he can't help. They stare at each other with hatred and anger for a while, and then Rafuma leaves, telling Mastoma that they are not done talking yet. Just as he leaves, Benwood comes running with another urgent news. He tells Mastoma and Yuk that a strange black barrier has appeared in dungeons all around the world, and he already knows that this is the sign of an inverted dungeon. Benwood explains that a tragedy like this occurred 16 years ago, and Yuk says that he has never heard of anything like that. Benwood says that it was kept top secret, and the reason he knows this is because he was a member of the party that sealed the inverted dungeon in Infinite Darkness. He says that they found an abyss door leading to another world in the Infinite Darkness dungeon and managed to seal it, and Mastoma asks more about that. Rune explains that Infinite Darkness is a stairway to multiple worlds. All the dungeons originate there, and eventually they return to it once they are destroyed. This makes Yuke realize that all the dungeons in the world are connected to each other, with infinite darkness being the common point. He tells Benwood that the abyss gate his party sealed has been opened, and the darkness flowing through it is leaking out through other dungeons, and that is the cause of the black barrier around the dungeons. He says that if they don't do anything, the entire world will be engulfed by darkness, and that means they need to cut off the problem at its root. He declares that they need to conquer the abyss gate at the bottom of the infinite darkness dungeon, because that is the only way to save the world. Hearing those words reminds Benwood of his glory days, when he raided the infinite darkness dungeon with his party that included the receptionist Mammer, the old hag Maniela, and Yuke's uncle Saga. After sealing the abyss gate, Benwood said that this is only a temporary relief measure, and until they defeat the Demon King, the dungeon would become active again and the world would be in danger of being swallowed by darkness. Saga remarked that the same thing happened to Yuke's homeland, but he was hopeful that someday, a hero would arrive to defeat the Demon King and conquer the infinite darkness once and for all. Back at the meeting, Benwood tells Yuke that if he plans to close the infinite darkness dungeon, they need to send a special investigation team in to find more details about it. He says that they can't protect an investigation team while trying to clear the dungeon, and Yuke simply replies that they won't take them along. He declares that they will destroy the infinite darkness dungeon, but Benwood tells him that his party tried to do the same but they failed. He says that they could only seal the dungeon, and this fact was kept a top secret for the longest time. However, he agrees that destroying the dungeon might be their only way to save the world, and he tells Yuke that he will immediately write a letter to the king to send the flying ship here to take them back home. Benwood says that he will ask the king to issue another royal order to gather all rank adventurers, and Yuke suggests that the investigation team can try to find more by the time they return. Mastoma asks how long will it take them to reach Infinite Darkness Dungeon, and Benwood replies that between the official procedure and the ship returning here, they will need at least 2 weeks. Yuke panics because it will be too late by then and asks if there is no faster way. Benwood tells him to take a break now because he has been moving constantly for the last 24 hours. He tells him to take some rest before they discuss things properly, and though Yuke is still impatient, Rune tries to calm him down, telling him that Benwood is right. Mastoma also tells him to rest and calm his mind before thinking about the problem, and since everyone insists, Yuke decides to take a break. At night, as Yuke is trying to sleep, he suddenly recalls Rune saying that all dungeons in the world are connected to infinite darkness, and he suddenly realizes a way to reach it quickly. He immediately runs to Mastoma's palace to wake him up, and tells him that he will enter the infinite darkness dungeon through the dungeon in Salmuteria. Mastoma is not even sure if this will work, but he promises to lend Yuke the Seeker's Compass that can help him find his way inside the dangerous dungeon. He asks about the odds, and Yuke says that he has a 50% chance to succeed, and because the mission is going to be too dangerous, he will go in alone. Mastoma asks him if he has some kind of death wish, but Yuke reveals that he has got the blessing of an evil god from another world that will keep him safe. He says that with the Seeker's Compass, he will find a way to infinite darkness, and Mastoma likes the plan. He agrees to support him, but before doing that, he tells Yuke to go and discuss this stuff with his harem because he shouldn't be risking his life without letting them know the risks. He then points at Rain, who heard Yuke running and chased after him, and Yuke panics on seeing her. Rain is really pissed at him for trying to do something so risky without telling anyone, and she tells him to be prepared for a lecture when they reach home. She thanks Mastoma for trying to talk some sense into Yuke, and with that, the two of them go back to their mansion. Rain keeps pouting and sulking all the way, and to make her forget why she is even angry, Yuke, the smooth criminal, hugs her from behind. They start flirting with each other, and then share their first kiss. Yuke's curse mark suddenly activates and its power channels through Rain, making her feel something weird. Anyway, they return home and Yuke tells all his girls about his plans to enter the dungeon alone. Everyone tells him that he is stupid for thinking that he can go into the dungeon alone, and they declare that they will be coming along with him. Yuke tries to convince them to let him go alone, but they don't even give him the chance to speak, and in the end, he has to give up. He agrees to take all of them with him, and then Silk asks him to explain the plan. Yuke tells her that they will use Seeker's Compass, and since all dungeons are connected to infinite darkness, they should be able to find a way to reach it. Silk gets fired up on hearing this and tells Yuke to leave gathering the supplies and contacting the guild to her. Just then, a messenger comes there and tells Yuke that Mastoma has summoned him urgently. Yuke goes there along with Silk, and Mastoma tells him that his elder brother Rifuma has made a reckless and stupid decision. The moron believes that the dungeon is just another monster nest, and he has started to march towards it with some soldiers so that he can stomp it out. Luckily, the streaming devices are functioning, and Bodman uses them to locate Rifuma and his troops fighting a bunch of monsters. The soldiers get their asses whooped by the monsters, and Rifuma cowardly leaves them behind and runs away. The drone camera follows him, but he soon leaves the streaming range and the live stream ends. Mastoma curses his moron brother, and Yuke asks if they should set out immediately to rescue him. Mastoma replies that protecting the city is more important than anything right now, because once the monsters develop a taste for humans, they will attack the city. Yuke realizes that it is a serious problem, and he decides to hurry to the dungeon. Benwood asks him if he is serious, and Silk replies on Yuke's behalf that they wanted to form a plan before entering the dungeon, but now they don't have that kind of time. Suddenly, Bodman gets a signal from the drone camera, and he finds Rifuma rolling down the slope towards the dark barrier bubble. Everyone watches intently as Rifuma touches the barrier that is protecting the reverse dungeon inside it, and then suddenly, he turns into a shadow stalker as the energy of the dungeon overwhelms him. He crosses the barrier after that, and Mastoma is confused by what he just saw. Benwood explains that his brother just turned into a shadow stalker, a mysterious monster that appears in the dungeon. He says that now Mastoma has less competition for the throne, and they just discovered how shadow stalkers are born. Silk says that shadow stalkers are basically humans who get turned inside out after touching the reverse dungeon, and Yuke freaks out because he can't risk his girls turning into monsters by taking them to the dungeon. Just when all hope seems to be lost, a familiar face walks through the door, and both Yuke and Benwood are dumbfounded. Yuke's Uncle Saga has returned when the world needs him the most, and he tells Yuke that he has grown up quite nicely. Yuke freaks out and asks how did he return, and more importantly, where was he all this time? Benwood also has the same question because after they sealed infinite darkness in the past, Saga vanished without informing anyone. Saga tells both of them to take a chill pill and then starts talking to Silk, saying that if she is not satisfied with Yuke, she can always get the same genes from his uncle. Mastoma is curious about the new guy too, and once he and Saga are finished introducing themselves, Benwood tells him to get to the point. Saga tells him that he has been busy with a lot of things, but he returned in time to stop the reverse dungeons from devouring the world. Benwood is astonished by his confidence and asks if he can really do something about them, and Saga replies that he can't do anything alone, but with Yuke's help, he will solve the problem. Later that night, Saga goes over to Yuke's mansion, and they catch up on lost time. After teasing Yuke about his harem, Saga gets to the point and tells him that he has a stigmata that common people can't notice. Yuke asks him what is that, and Saga tells him that the curse mark on his face is a part of giving up his humanity. Yuke tells him that he got it from Persephone, the ruler of the underworld, and Saga is low-key jealous on hearing this. He explains that the stigmata or curse mark is proof of Yuke's identity in worlds other than this one. Yuke realizes that this proof protected him when he was in the inverted dungeon earlier, and Saga confirms that theory. He says that Rain had the same thing on her as well, and he is pretty sure that Yuke gave it to her. Yuke suddenly realizes that he gave Rain more than some tongue action and a mouthful of bacterias when they kissed, and soon, the news reaches all his girls. As desperate as they are, all of them tell Yuke to give them the stigmata because that will make them stay unaffected by the inverted dungeon's powers. Yuke is taken aback at this, but Rain gives him permission to kiss other girls even though it will make her jealous. Saga also tries to warn them one last time, telling the girls that if they enter the reverse dungeon, there is a chance that they may never return. However, all of them are determined to stay by Yuke's side till the end, and Saga tells them that they should do whatever they want because they are full-fledged adventurers. A few days later, Yuke and his party are ready to raid the dungeon, and Saga confirms if he gave the stigmata to everyone. Yuke shyly says that he gave it to everyone except Rune because he is not a PDF file, but luckily she doesn't need it. Saga tells him all the best for his mission and says that in the meantime, he will use a special teleportation artifact to reach the capital city with Benwood so they can enter the Infinite Darkness dungeon from there. He gives Yuke a pep talk about how the fate of the world is on his shoulders now and then departs for the capital city. After that, Mastoma also wishes Yuke the best and gives the Seeker's Compass to Rain because she is the only one who knows how to use it. Bodman also tells Yuke that he will personally supervise the livestream to make sure it reaches everyone. With that, they leave for the inverted dungeon, and once they reach it, Yuke asks everyone to do a final check. They tell him that they are ready for everything, and Yuke gives them the signal to begin the most important mission of their life. Despite that, he is worried about his girls turning into monsters, but Rain assures him that they will be fine thanks to the stigmata he gave them. Marina also adds that her intuition says that they will be fine, and Silk decides to do something that will get rid of Yuke's worries for good. She summons her snake spirit and asks it to run a stimulation for their future. The snake spirit predicts that there is no future in which they turn into shadow stalkers, and Yuke feels better after hearing that. He then asks Jamie to buff everyone while he refills their mana so that they can be at their peak. Next, he tells the girls that they will hold hands while entering the reverse dungeon, because if it has already turned into the infinite darkness, anyone who gets separated will get lost. Rain immediately grabs his left hand because she is his main girl, and Silk grabs his right hand because she is the party's vice leader. The rest of the girls hold their hands and they walk towards the barrier together. Yuke is still anxious about it, but they pass through the black bubble without any difficulty, and once they reach inside, everyone is perfectly fine. They are in the dark space of the reverse dungeon, and Yuke activates the livestream drones, hoping that they can still broadcast the video to the outside world. The video does indeed reach the outside world, and everyone eagerly watches as Rain pulls out the Seeker's compass to find the location of the entrance to the Infinite Darkness dungeon. She soon gets the location and leads everyone towards the entrance, and Jamie asks Yuke more about this place because he has been here once. He tells her that this dark world is a part of the Infinite Darkness dungeon, and if they can picture their destination and focus on it hard enough, they will surely find a way out. Just as they are talking about that subject, Rain feels something weird and stops. Everyone else gets alert as they see lights of different colors flashing in the air. The flashes become wider and brighter, eventually enclosing the entire party, and then suddenly, they find themselves in a different place. No one understands what is going on, but Neen remarks that this place looks exactly like Death Valley, but the vegetation is new. Yuke wonders if this is how the valley looked in the past, or if it is a prediction about how it will look in the future. But Rune believes that it is how the valley can potentially become. Her words make Yuke think hard, and he says that there must be a reason dungeons exist, and his first guess is that someone wished hard enough to manifest them into reality. The other guess is that they are a memory of the land itself. Marina pretends that she understands all of that, and Neen decides to scout the area before making a move. Yuke asks Rain and Jamie to use their telescopic imagic to see if they can find anything, and Rain immediately tells him to lift her up. So Yuke lets her sit on his shoulder, sandwiching his face with her thighs, and Jamie tells them to get a room already. Anyway, Jamie flies high in the sky to get herself a better view of the place, and then uses the telescopic view to see if there is anything worth noticing. Rain also uses the spell, but neither of them find anything remarkable. Just then, Jamie returns, and she proves out to be the only one with the skills to gather information. She tells Yuke that the royal tomb is exposed, and it is surrounded by monsters that look like shadow stalkers. Yuke realizes that the entrance to infinite darkness lies inside the tomb, and the monsters are protecting it. He says that they don't have any other choice but to go to the tomb, but that makes Marina worried. Yuke asks her if she is fine, and she replies that she is okay, but it is clear that she is really troubled by something. Yuke hugs her to comfort her, and then asks to reveal what is bothering her. Marina says that she is scared about the thought of fighting the shadow stalkers, because they might be normal people. Yuke tells her that he understands her fears, but then he asks her how would she feel if she turned into a shadow stalker and attacked them. Marina replies that she would feel awful, and would want someone to stop her quickly. Yuke smiles, saying that the people who became shadow stalkers must feel the same way, so it is their duty to stop them. Marina feels better on hearing that, and the party finally starts moving towards the royal tomb. They stop at the edge of the forest because the shadow stalkers are just up ahead. Yuke asks if anyone has plans on how to deal with them, and Jamie suggests that they use a diversion to lead them elsewhere. Yuke wonders if it would even work, but then suddenly, he realizes something. He reminds Jamie about the time they rescued her from the Infinite Darkness dungeon. There were shadow stalkers in the dungeon that time, but they did not attack them. Instead, they only attacked Simon, who was hit by his magic spell that was boosted using Persephone's curse mark. Yuke thinks that the shadow stalkers were reacting violently to the power of the curse mark, and that is why he is the only one who can become the decoy. Soon, Yuke reaches the entrance of the royal tomb, and a group of shadow stalkers is casually hanging out there. At the same time, Silk and the rest of the girls reach closer to the gate and signal Yuk to start acting like a decoy. Yuk immediately unleashes his magic, chanting the spell to launch his prismatic missile at the Shadow Stalkers, who spot him and respond to his magic. They rush towards him without paying attention to anything else, and using this chance, the girls slip inside the tomb. On the other hand, the monsters reach Yuk just before he finishes his spell, but it turns out that it was just a clone created using an artifact. The artifact is destroyed by the attack of the Shadow Stalkers, but in that time, Yuk has reached the gate where Silk is waiting for him. They head inside together and join the rest of the team, and then start their journey with Neen in the lead. They soon come to a fork in the road, and Rain uses the Seeker's compass to find the right way. He asks everyone to be more careful from now on, and the girls laugh, telling him that he is being too serious. Well, they soon learn that he was right because they run into a group of Shadow Stalkers. Rain starts the attack by shooting a fireball at them, but that doesn't stop the Shadow Stalkers. Jamie follows up by attacking them with energy bolts, and Marina deals the finishing blow. However, Silk points out that there are more monsters ahead and they don't have time to relax. Only one boss-level Shadow Stalker comes out of the darkness, and it is Rafuma himself. Yuk tries to see if he can talk some sense into the corrupted prince, but it is useless, so he decides to finish him quickly. He tells Marina to attack first, and she tackles Rafuma, making him lose his balance. Silk immediately shoots him with some ice arrows, freezing him in his place, and then Neen throws her dagger at him for a headshot. Finally, Marina uses her ultimate move to finish him off. With that, they find the staircase leading them to the next floor, and Yuk is curious about what they will find next. Rune remarks that there is a dimensional boundary here, and explains that the stairs give off a completely different vibe compared to the dungeon floors. Yuk had never thought of that before, but he wonders if this is the reason why monsters can't come to the stairs in safe zones. Yuk praises Rune and asks her to tell him if she senses anything. But then everyone feels a strange wave washing over them, and the next moment, they find themselves in a bar at the Adventurers Guild in their hometown. Yuk tells everyone to stay on guard because they are still inside the dungeon, and this place has been made using their memories. They check out their surroundings and find that the guild building is full of people. However, they are not humans but Shadow Stalkers in disguise, and Rain confirms them by checking their magic signature. She also uses the compass and finds that they need to go through the main door on the ground floor to reach the next level. But to do that, they will need to fight all the Shadow Stalkers. Suddenly, Rain points out at a table where Yuk is sitting with his former party and all of them are having fun together. Yuk is shocked to see this because he always wished things would turn out for them. He suddenly gets sad on seeing the dream that never came true, and Jamie comforts him, still feeling guilty about the past. He decides to get out of the place quickly and says that if this place is really a recreation of their guild, the Shadow Stalkers down there won't attack them. Silk agrees, saying that any sort of fighting is banned in the guild, and Yuk hopes that the rules apply even inside the dungeon. He tells the girls that they should split up so that they don't draw any attention, and asks them not to run or act frantic in any way. They head downstairs with that, and luckily, no one even pays them any attention. The girls leave the gate one by one, and Yuk is the last one. However, just as he reaches the gate, he hears his fake version get up and declare that he is leaving Thunderpike. This shocks the real Yuk, but the fake one immediately says that he was joking, and everyone starts laughing. The fake party members praise the fake Yuk, saying that they would not be successful without his support. This pains Yuk because someone else is living the life he wanted, but he decides to move on quickly. Just then, Simon calls out to him and Yuk stops, but tells Silk to go on ahead because he will handle things here. He doesn't turn around and asks Simon what he wants, and he asks him where he got the robe from because it is an artifact used by red mages. He says that their red mage could use something like that too, and Yuk tells him the location of the robe. Simon thanks him and then introduces himself as a new adventurer who dreams of becoming an ranker soon so that he can challenge the Infinite Darkness dungeon with his friend Yuk. The real Yuk gets emotional on hearing all this, and he wishes Simon the best before quietly heading outside, with tears running down his face. As he comes out of the inn, his girls ask him how did things go with the Thunderpike of this place. Yuk replies that they were good people, and Jamie remarks that maybe this is just a parallel universe where things never went wrong. However, Yuk tells her that he doesn't think about the past anymore because he has the best party members he could want to challenge the Infinite Darkness dungeon. He then asks Rain to find the entrance to the dungeon, and just like in the real world, she finds that the dungeon is located just below the guild building. They decide to enter the guild, and Yuke tells everyone to be careful because all the people in this world are shadow stalkers. They find that the guild building is empty, but then the receptionist Mammer comes out to greet them. Everyone freaks out on seeing her because they know she is incredibly strong. Mammer tells them that they can't enter through the door because they don't have the authorization for it, and Yuke immediately reaches for his sword as he requests her to let them pass through. Mammer just chuckles as she tells him that she was joking earlier, and he can pass through. Yuke is surprised by her reaction, but then Rain and Rune tell him that she is the real Mammer and not a disguised shadow stalker. Yuke quickly apologizes for trying to threaten her, and she acts like she is disappointed in him. She tells him that she found her shadow stalker duplicate and already took care of it. Yuke asks her if Saga and Benwood have reached the city, and Mammer affirms, saying that they sent her here to find them. She is surprised because she found Yuke by following Saga's direction exactly, and Yuke starts to realize what is going on. Mammer tells him that they don't have any time to waste and leads him to the gate that leads them to Infinite Darkness Dungeon, where Benwood is throwing hands with shadow stalkers. The old hag Maniela is also there to back him up, and both of them complain that Saga dumped all the fighting on them again. Yuke and others join them in the fight, and he asks where is